What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Apologies for the extremely late start time. Everything imaginable went wrong. Lots of technical issues after an update, and I still don't think I got it all together. And I still don't think I have it all together. So we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna roll with it. We're gonna lean with it and rock with it. So shout out to everybody in the building. Do appreciate every one of you. I'm still dotting I's and crossing T's and checking on a few things as we get this thing rolling, So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the like button. Going to be talking about what's going down in Chi-Town, Chirac. This might be a short show because I do got one later on tonight. I do got another show later tonight, so this may be a short one. But we'll see how it goes. So, all right. Still fixing some things. Appreciate all of your patience. Yeah, hoop jargon. CP time is real today. It was all kind of stuff. The Mac the Trucker says, the mayor said the kids need a nice cooked meal that will solve everything. Yeah. But all right. Without further ado, let's roll the intro. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Do appreciate everybody in the building. Shout out to the early bird squads, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things started. Those of you that make it in bright and early before you can get things started, greatly appreciate you. Shout out to Sweet Melody Speaks, RM at least. I got to put that link out there. GD, we'll got to send the link to RM. Shout out to GD. Shout out to Sun is Hot Rocked. Sun is Hot Ra, not Sun is Hot. Anyway. Shout out to Sun is Hot Rod. Shout out to OGJ Speed. Shout out to the Hood Conservative. Says he blame mamas for everything. Shout out to True Hype. Says what they getting blamed for now. Shout out to True Hype. Shout out to Dolomite in the building. Says niggas, y'all just overreacting. It not that bad. Okay. Oh, well, he's quoting. Oh, that's what niggers are saying. Okay. SKC, who's Yeah, gotta love SKC's commentary on topics like this. Says hood servative, it goes way deeper than mamas. I yeah, I think so too. I think so too. You know, I think so too. Says the narrative of white supremacy, which has been promulgated by certain people to this day, has led to this. I would actually like to hear you come up and explain if you having one of those those work days of yours where you're in the office doing nothing. I would love to hear you come up and give you thoughts on that. That's an interesting comment, and I understand what you mean because there's an aspect of let me get that link out so RM could get in the back. There's an aspect of radicalizing of black people. There's an aspect of radicalizing of black people that takes place, that goes on, and you know, we talk a lot about unfair or biased media coverage, but on one hand, you could say you could pull up incidents where there's aspects of the media, the liberal media, as they where they don't cover certain stuff or they don't put a highlight on certain stuff, but if it was, when something bad happens to a black person, especially if the person who did it was white, they cover that heavy. But here's the deal: are they covering that heavy because they actually, want to, you know, want to help the disenfranchised people, fight against the ruling class or the oppressor, or is it the act of radicalizing? They they want Negroes mad. They want them up in arms, ready to fight. They want them mad. They want them to think that it's this big bad bully, but we're the ones. We're going to help you. Everybody associated, everybody who vote, everybody who ever does something bad to you, black person, are the people over there that vote for Trump, and us over here. We're here to help you. We're on your side, black person. And look, and we're going to cover all the stories when something bad happens to a black person. We're going to put a big spotlight on it. We're going to put it everywhere, and we're going to, we're going to put it. We're going to show you all the stuff to make you mad, and then when you riot, we're going to do news coverage to make excuses for it. And so it's like there's an aspect of it where like, are they radicalizing black people because they know if black people see one side as the enemy, then those same black people are going to see this other side as the friend, as the hero, and then now we got them. A lot of the coverage of this type of stuff and the lack of coverage of other things does reek of the same thing LBJ said, like a continuation of the strategy where he said, I'm going to have those niggas voting for me for another 100 years. So I see a lot of that. I see a lot of that going on when I look at some of the coverage. Then when I look at some of the stuff like with what did somebody say? I think that was DeMac the trucker. Yep, Hoop Jargon CP time. DeMac the trucker said the mayor said the kids need a nice home cooked meal. Nah, that's not that one. I gotta find because like they've been saying many things. They've been saying many things. But we got to get into it. We got to get into it. We got to get into it. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, let me just roll some not so beautiful bean footage. Let me roll some not so beautiful bean footage. But first, let me put this. I'm just gonna throw the link in the chat for RM. I'll invite you gentlemen up momentarily. I might drop it in actually because I'm starting so late. I may just drop it early. Actually, the link is in the chat early today. The link is in the chat early today because I started so late. And I'm probably not going to do a long show. Perry is saying he blames Lightfoot. Ragnarok saying these little bastards can't call themselves victims. Link is in the chat. I put it in there for RM, but y'all can come on. Y'all can come on up. We can get it popping early. But for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's been a nice stream of okay. We got SKC bright and early. This should be good. This should be good. I definitely love hearing SKC on these type of topics. But let me just play a little bit of the chaos. So for the few people that don't know, can just get an update on what's going on in Chicago. Apparently, it's just been random acts of chaos. Teenagers just I almost use the word pack. they're packing together. You know the Mel Gibson reference. Hope you get raped by a pack of niggas. But anyway, it's been a pack of black teens. They just getting together, jumping on cars, just breaking windows, doing just random, just devious acts. It's not like it's like they robbing somebody. You know, somebody got a nice watch and you robbed the watch. You can probably sell the watch for $1,000. It's like that. You know, that's not okay. But you could see the internal logic in a smash and grab. You know, there's if you're in the jungle, there are certain things where you could say, okay, that makes sense. if you accept the jungle, if you accept that it's a jungle, there are certain things that's like, hey, you know, uh, a gazelle got caught slipping, got took down by a lion. You know, there's certain things in the jungle that you can look at and say, okay, that's. But the stuff that we see in here is not even that. It's just random, just chaotic stuff. It's not knocking somebody upside the head and stealing their shoes. It's not stealing a person, taking the money and taking the credit cards or debit cards out of it and spending it real quick before they get a chance to cancel it. It's not that. It's just random chaos. But I'm gonna go and roll the not so beautiful being footage. Let's go.
The action pouring in tonight after a violent weekend of shootings and fights involving large groups of teenagers here in Chicago. Last night, hundreds of young people descended on Michigan Avenue, smashing car windows and trying to get into Millennium Park.
And see, there's no reason to just randomly smash car windows. Like, these aren't even like, you know, it's not like it was a George Floyd situation where they just recently you know, everybody is just like, let's burn it to the ground. I mean, maybe I missed part of the story. Was it something that started it? But it just looked like it's just fluctuations in the chaos that just fluctuated really, really high.
And Friday night, another large group brawled at the 31st Street beach, setting a car on fire. Tonight, both the mayor and mayor-elect are weighing in on the teen takeovers, calling them unacceptable. This was the scene at Michigan and Washington last evening, police making 15 arrests during a massive disturbance in the area of Millennium Park. A 16 and 17-year-old were shot as others jumped on cars, smashing windows. This woman and her husband were attacked in their cars. They waited for a light to change.
The guys are jumping in my car. My husband go to the hospital.
What did they do?
Because the guys I put in their face.
And on Friday night, a 14-year-old boy was shot near the 31st Street beach after fights broke out among a large crowd of teens. In a statement, incoming Mayor Brandon Johnson said, "It is unacceptable and has no place in our city. However, it is not constructive to demonize youth who've otherwise been starved of opportunities in their own communities." Mayor Lori Lightfoot says her...
That's a typical thing. I'm gonna bring y'all in a second. That's that, you know, lack of opportunities, you know. Lack of opportunities could have a kid just on the couch, just wasting away his life playing video games. There's something else going on if lack of economic opportunities or whatever. It's something else going on if the lack of opportunities is leading to this for people so young. Okay, all right.
Office has been having conversations with Chicago police about monitoring and responding to the gatherings, saying we as a city cannot and will not allow any of our public spaces to become a platform for criminal conduct. CPD has assured me they will make the necessary adjustments to address these teen trend issues as we move into the summer months. Other elected officials are questioning the parents. Third Ward Alderman Pat Dowell tweeting, "No other community abdicates parental responsibility for their children. None. Until parents collectively take back control of their homes, nothing will change." Sentiments echoed by a woman we met in the middle of the mayhem last night.
I'm appalled at what I see. I'm from Chicago, and I understand kids having a good time, but this is simply bad parenting. We have to do better as parents. Our kids should not be out here. Where are their parents at? That's my question.
All right. We'll go from there. And keep in mind that video I played, this wasn't even nowhere near the most egregious one. Egregious. There's a lot worse stuff out there. There's a lot worse stuff out there. But hold up. Why isn't that looking like I needed to look? But anyway,
Bernard, I was actually covering this the last couple of days.
Yeah. So
I played some of the more egregious stuff too. It's crazy. It's wild. It's a lot, and it's not just Chicago. This is Philadelphia. This is Baltimore. There was a huge mass shooting in a little nobody heard of town called Dadeville, Alabama, where like 20 kids got shot, 4 died. Like it's just been lit for no reason.
That's what I was trying to wrap my mind around. Now, look, obviously, okay, there's a certain amount of shootings that happen each year. Okay, we understand that. But damn, you just threw me off now that you mentioned that it's happening in other places. But what I've been seeing with this is just it's different. It's different. It doesn't seem like it was just shootings or whatever that's taking place. It's almost it's rioting without an exact cause is what I'm seeing. It's like they're like the random jumping on cars. Like nothing just happened. It wasn't some big event. It was nobody won or lost the Super Bowl or got shot by the police. It's like nothing. So it's like they just randomly said, we about to take this nonsense up to another level. It's like I'm trying to wrap my mind around what the hell is going on. But shout out to everybody in the building. What you say?
Why is that such a difficult concept to wrap your mind around?
I don't even understand the question.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, why is that such a difficult concept to wrap your mind around? These kids, they literally saw their parents do the same thing 3 years ago. I mean, the kids weren't dumb. The kids could sit down and talk and see what they were getting into. How do you explain to, let's say some of these kids were between the ages of 12 to 18, right?
Okay.
3 years ago, how do you explain to them that this black man died, we need to tear up stuff and loot?
So let's look at it from that perspective. You got somebody, let's just say 12 years old, 3 years ago. Okay, damn. So yeah, because if they 15, if it was clearly some 15-year-olds out there right now. So yeah, if 12 years old, they saw that it was acceptable behavior to go out and basically burn the city to the ground. Your argument is, what is jumping on a few cars? Because there's one video I thought that I had in the chamber ready to go was video of them just jumping on cars and they was actually showing them stomping out the car windows for no reason. It was moving vehicles that they jumping on, and the person trying to nudge slow, don't want to run the kids over that's sitting there vandalizing this shit while he in it. It was messed up videos.
Look what the mayor said too. It's all okay.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is that the same line of logic that the parents used and explained to their children as to why they did what they were doing, it's the same line of logic that the kids can use as to why they did their stuff.
Okay, so what are the kids going to say this time?
We went to go destroy white people's stuff. We even beat up some white people.
would have these things been more targeted? Because y'all have covered this more than me. Have these things been
They,
more targeted on
they
white
yeah,
people's
they.
stuff? Because
Okay, why would a group of young black teenagers try to break into a museum?
mm, yeah, see, that's why I'm glad y'all came up here. I
Were
didn't
they
know that
trying to
it
get
was.
food? Were they trying to get goods?
Well, that's what I was talking about. It's like they was doing with my sons. I don't know if it's a common term, but a devious lick. That's when you just vandalizing some shit for no benefit for you. It's just is
No,
your
I think it was very targeted. I think they wanted to destroy other people's stuff that has nothing to do with anything black.
no, but no, that's what I was asking. So have the stuff been more targeted? Because I'm used to when I see this type of stuff going on, I'm used to it being black people tearing up stuff in black neighborhoods. You saying they literally went to white neighborhoods to do it?
No, I'm just saying the place where they went to, there was a large gathering. Um, at one particular spot that they went to, there was a large gathering outside of some sort of art museum. Why in the heck would a lot of black kids that are trying to go out and have a good time or do this or do that, or even if you want to say they're out to, get some free stuff, they want to go out, destroy some stuff and get some some Nikes or phones or whatever. Why
Mm-hmm.
do you gather and try to break into an art museum?
Yeah, no, that supports your theory 100%, that they are targeting, something. It's just yeah. Yeah, no, that's God damn it. What the hell is J Speed? J Speed is dialing my number and he hear me on the air. I know he hear me on the air, but he calling me. I'm not answering it. I'm not
and
answering
and
it.
it and that's why I state it has nothing to do with it, not as much to do with like the baby mama ism and so forth. This is a larger slow roll um, consequence that goes all the way back to the 60s, all the way down till today. You start off with all of the Cohombi River Collective, the civil rights stuff, the Black Panther, we got to be rebellious and so forth. That bleeds over into the Jesse
Jesse
Jackson, the
Jackson.
Al Sharpton narrative that goes and bleeds into a lot of the political commentary that you got from people like a Tavis Smiley. That bleeds down into when you get to people like Obama, the BLM movement, and then all of the political pundits that come from all of that, your Mark Lamont Hills, your Joy Reeds, into like even when you get into a little bit more of high society, your Tanahashi Coates and his feelings on a variety of things, reparations, even into popular culture, like doing some writing for Black Panther and all of that stuff. It bleeds all into the culture of who Black people are and what they believe that they deserve. And now you got it in the heads of these young children. They don't understand the real reasons behind it. All they understand is that for the longest time, our people have been saying that white people are the problem. And if we just get rid of them and destroy their stuff, everything will be better.
the I didn't go all the way back to the 60s in my explanation, but I did touch on it in my little opening ramble that the there is an element of radicalizing black people. There is an element of that. And so I do think that's a big part of it, even though on one hand one could say it's just random, just unsupervised kids just doing some ignorant stuff. On one hand you could say that, but on the other hand, you can argue that point, and I didn't want to start the show any later because I did want to do like some more research on that to try to see the connections more clear, because one could be tempted to just say it's just random kids just doing random stuff, because again it was nothing happened that sparked it. But when you look at what we're fed constantly, you know,
the
it could
culture
just.
the culture created this. You could say that the schism really started like I would say in the top of the 80s, where you basically had a balance, an attempt of a balance of power of different things. You had, of course, the civil rights black people that were stating, well, we are victims and we are owed this and such and blah blah blah, and their point made more sense at that time, being closer to the civil rights movement. However, you had others of the quote unquote like the Thomas Sowell class and all of those, Glenn Lowry and blah, and they were stating, well, some of it is black people's fault. You gotta and when you had those type of people who would say stuff, take for instance like your Thomas Sowells, your Walter Williams, your Stanley Crouches, your Ishmael Reeds, your Glenn Lowrys, your Jesse Lee Petersons, your Clarence Thomases, they were all called coons and thrown out the room. What they stated was swept under as, oh, that's just respectability politics. This stuff about family and being a productive citizen, oh, that's just trying to appeal to those white people. Okay, so the major narrative was you are victims. And that got pushed from the 80s all the way down to today. All you're seeing is that that line of thinking being pushed down to young kids who have no understanding of the full issues at all.
All right,
and their parents basically backing them and saying, you're right.
Let's pass it on down to Hood Conservative. What you got on this? I know you covered it. I haven't seen any of your coverage on it, but go ahead. What's your major takeaway from what's been going on here? Hood Conservative, mic check on Hood Conservative. You're muted, and he's gone. All right, we got a little. Before I go to a little podcast, let me get to Sir Tice in the building says we funded Kim Fox, the Chicago DA and NYC DA. Soros is behind this, which is why DAs will drop charges, and the sphere in the mainstream media hardly looks to the biggest source. Interesting points. Thank you for the $10 super.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want.
Do appreciate that. Do appreciate you dropping $10 on. Appreciate the support. All right, let's go to. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Let's go to a little podcast. What you got on this? What your thoughts on this?
What up, bro? Honestly, the guy who was just talking made me look at it from a different perspective, because I didn't even think about what happened 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And that whole perspective that he just gave. I just want to say really quickly to him, salute for even just having the thought process to go that deep into it, because most people not. I put a post up, I believe it was last night, where I said, watch all of these. Well, I specifically said weak ass black content creators do shows on this particular subject. And when I seen that you was doing the show, and I'm like, okay, let me tap in. I wanted to see where you were going with it. And I'm glad that I came in when I came in, because that brother's take kind of quelled my anger. It's not specifically directed at you, but it's just the fact that I know that all the black content creators are going to do shows on this, and they're not going to talk about Ralph Yarl at all. Nobody going to do a show about that, but they're going to take this time to disparage Chicago, to disparage the youth, to disparage black people as a whole, to disparage black parents, even black governing, right? Because the mayor there is black, and the mayor that's coming in also is going to be a black guy, which I wasn't a fan of that pick. I say let white people run all of this political stuff so they can get all of the blame. But honestly, I watched the video of them attacking that white woman,
Yeah.
It was sick, bro. You know, there's no excuse for them attacking that white woman. I'm not gonna sit here and justify the behavior. I definitely am 100% thankful that neither one of my kids are even in the space to be a part of nothing like that. But these conversations, I think they're gonna almost be pointless, bro. You know, not to disparage this show. I'm a part of this conversation right now, so this includes me. But I think they're gonna be pointless because nobody is really gonna dive into the reality of why this is really happening. Because when you go into areas where people have resources, where people have good living, where it's not a police state, where the educational system is thriving and teaching beyond ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and they not trying to put all the kids on drugs and tell everybody they bad and got ADHD, you know, and it's literally jobs in the area that people can drive to 5 minutes, walk to 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have these problems. When you go to areas where people own something, not everybody is renting. Nobody owns anything where they are. You know what I'm saying? Where these people live at, it's all, you know, houses, apartment complexes, and projects for rent. You know what I mean? It's true, real deep rooted reasons why this is happening. Everything costs so much: eggs, milk, cereal, all kind of food, everything, restaurant foods, everything costs so much money, man. And these kids are easily misled because of that, because, you know, the parents are so focused on either trying to make a living or struggling with their own vices based on, you know, the how hard it is to just maintain in the society right now. Rent everywhere, $1,200, $1,300 for a studio and a 1-bedroom apartment. It's so much other stuff that's going on. If we're gonna talk about the kids, we got to talk about every single faction that oversees them and the dysfunction in all of those factions, from parenting to politics, right?
If I could, because
Yes, sir.
I know
I'm sorry,
you're
I didn't mean to
making.
be long-winded.
No, I was long winded as well. So, but I'm glad that you're here because it gives like a counter view,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to see if I could touch on the beginning subject that you went in on. You were
Mm-hmm.
talking about how there were these content creators and that you were pretty sure that they were going to construct certain narratives that you were not going to look favorably upon.
Mm-hmm.
You were anticipating them to do this,
Yeah.
and on that point right there, because I've been hearing this a lot, and I think one of the issues that people don't realize when they make that statement is that the other side of that equation has had the microphone on the victim narrative for decades. So I'll come out and be almost like a defense for your ABLs, your Brandon Tatums, your Candace Owens, your black conservative perspective type of guys and so forth. I'll run the defense for them, and here's the reason why. You didn't listen to all of the other people before them. You didn't want to listen to Simon Soul. You didn't want to listen to Walter Williams. You called Clarence Thomas a coon. You didn't want to listen to Stanley Crouch or Ishmael Reed or any of the others. And now when they have the same style of commentary that was pushed upon you from the other direction, now you want to complain about them and say, oh, see, they're only going to come at it from this perspective. When the other side only came at it from the perspective of, there's nothing wrong with black people. It's just all white people. They're the issue. White supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. No nuance, no delving into issues, no trying to see deeper points that could come from it. You called Bill Cosby's pound cake speech tomfoolery. So it's like, okay, fine. You didn't want to listen to none of those people. Here's the next iteration of that. And you're definitely not going to like them either.
So let me say this, and I'm I understand one thing about my life is that I am so misunderstood. So if you misunderstand what I'm about to say, I'll just understand that. Or I ain't trying to be confusing up, but it happens way too often because I think you just misunderstood me, right? My problem isn't with people who talk about the things that Black people do that's wrong. My problem is with people who only talk about that. That's my problem.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that and I'm just using you as an avatar because
I
what
know.
you
I'm not
stated
taking it personal.
is not any. It's there's been a lot of people who have had the same points of view, the same point of view. You may have arrived at it from different reasons, but it's the same point of view. And but they never use that same commentary when it comes to the other side.
So
Roland Martin has
so
been
wait, let me
banging on the drum that white people are your problem. He's made a
Really,
career out of it for over 3
so,
decades.
wait, really quickly, right? So just to be fair, in my experience, the people who I know that talk about, I'll give you one, right? Let's go with Umar Johnson, right? Umar Johnson talks about Black people from the victim standpoint, right? He also talks about Black people from a dysfunctional standpoint, meaning things that they do on their own that causes their own demise. So I don't have the luxury to sit here and pretend like all of the people I know only spoke one way. I don't
What
only speak one way. So
if you were to guess which portion of that messaging is received more
okay, so
by Black America?
I'm not trying to be rude by not answering your question, but it's irrelevant and disingenuous to the argument that you're making because we're not
Okay.
talking about the people in their reception. We're talking about the people who give out the messages, right? So if I'm saying the people that you're talking about, I don't know who
Hmm.
they are. Can't even address them. The people that I know, they speak on all of it, not just one side of it. And that's my problem with YouTube Black content creators like Chaotic Truth, who all you're going to do is say it's going to be two events happen. There's going to be an event happen where some Black person did something wrong, and there's going to be an event happen where something was done wrong to a Black person, and you're only going to speak about the event that where the Black person done something wrong. To me, that's a problem, especially when you're not actually a Black American. When you're actually a Nigerian or a Colombian or a Haitian or anything else, you to me
Well,
should definitely you should definitely want to speak to all events, all kind of events, all from both sides of the spectrum to show a certain type of balance. To me, those Black people, as they were, should take it upon themselves to responsibly speak on both sides, not just talk about the sides where you can make Black people look bad and say, see, there go those Negroes, but also say, well, see, this is some stuff that
So
the Negroes complain about.
your example of balance is Umar Johnson.
I just gave you an example of his rhetoric. It does not mean that his approach has been 50-50. I'm just saying I've heard him speak about the things that Black people do wrong in our own communities and in our own families. And I've also heard him speak about the things that have been done wrong to Black people vis-a-vis white supremacy, systemic oppression, stuff like that. So I'm saying whoever you're talking about, because you're addressing me, that it's kind of falling on deaf ears, so to speak, because I don't know those people. So that's like you're addressing my point, and my point ain't about the people who only speak from one side. I'm literally against those people, whether it's people who speak about Black people as victims all the time, or whether it's people who speak about Black people as the victimizers all the time. To me, you're a problem. Don't
Yeah,
make
to
your
and to
yeah.
put
Go
a
ahead.
bow on it, because I
I,
know
I,
you got two other people on,
Mhm.
and just to put a real quick bow on it, my argument is that the people who were presenting the more balanced messaging, Black America considered them as coons, Un, and they stated that you should not even allow them in the room to have discussions with them at all. Go ahead, if someone else.
Yeah, all right. Real quick. Poindexter Hill turn in the building with the $10 super chat. Appreciate everybody who support the stream. He says, "How are teens worried about eggs and food price?" Yeah, that was a part that was, that was a part that I disagree with the most. But I was letting I wanted to hear SKC and little podcast hash it out.
Jesus,
But he says,
can I
"How
respond to that real?
What do we get for $10? Anything you want.
Thank you for the $10 super chat, but I'm just finished reading. He says, how are teens worried about eggs and food price increases when they are wearing Jordans and got Apple phones? And not to mention, I have sympathy for, I'll just say this. I got sympathy. I don't saying he should do it, but I got sympathy for the person who like breaks in somebody's house to steal a loaf of bread and a pack of bologna. Like, I mean, he shouldn't do it, but he stole bread and bologna. People who be committing those crimes like that, they're not doing it out of starvation. The stuff that they're stealing or vandalizing is not stuff that's gonna that they can't stuff that's gonna sustain their life.
How often does
and it probably never happens. Probably people aren't
right? How often do people actually steal food for the purpose of survival? Think about what you're saying. Because
exactly.
listen, I've bought hundreds of dollars worth of stolen food, and I can tell you they didn't steal it because they was hungry.
I know. He brought up food, so I was just saying that if food prices were so damn high that people were stealing food because they needed to, you could make that argument. I would still not be on your side, but I could see the internal logic in what you're trying to say. But there's no internal logic in even trying to say that to bring up the price of eggs when they're stealing and vandalizing shit that don't got nothing to do with food. So,
Bernard,
but either way, hold on, wait. I do want to go to little podcast. Go ahead, and then after whatever little podcast say, Hood Conservative got next, and we're gonna keep it moving. Go ahead, little podcast.
Okay.
You want to respond to that super chat?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Because this is the thing, bro. Like, it baffles me so much, bro. I don't have no degrees. I don't have no letters behind my name, and it's like I have to either accept that people are either intentionally being contrarians and stupid, or they really can't like parse conversation. They can't understand when you're referencing one thing and another thing in the same conversation or in the same phrase. It's like children aren't responsible for eggs. So when I'm mentioning the price of food, I'm not talking about children, but shit rolls downhill. So when you have parents, and it's literally, if you go back and rewind it, a smart person, a person that actually pays attention, that isn't just trying to be on BS, is going to hear the connection where you're saying the parents aren't as involved, where they're saying the parents are way more abusive, or it's dysfunctional parenting because of the fact that they're worrying about certain things like the price of food, the price of rent, the price of gas, all these different things that they have to worry about. It takes away from them being better parents, more involved parents. That's money that they can't spend on their kids to learn certain disciplines. I get it. They are wearing Jordans, but at the end of the day, guess what? That's been going on for a long time, bro. It is what it is. I'm one of the few relics who look at gym shoes and think they shouldn't cost a certain amount of money, right? Whereas most people think the average price for a gym shoe is probably $150, right? But I'm one of those people who think like, yeah, that's when I'm doing something nice for myself and I'm buying some Jordan 1s, right? My average shoe is going to be 60. But I'm the relic when it comes to that. Mostly everybody else I know, the Jordan is the shoe that they wear. So it's like to try to use that. I don't understand what's happening on YouTube, man. Like, is this the place where people choose not to think, or is it just let me be a contrarian and try to make a fool out of somebody every time they speak?
Well, just briefly. The thought is that when you say a person not thinking, I think people are thinking because you typically would not see a homeless person rocking new Jordans. They would be more interested in the getting food and shelter rather than the Jordan. So when you make the point to say, well, these people have issues with things like food and so forth. Well, a thinking person is going to say, how could they be so concerned about that when they have items that are 100 times more expensive?
SPC, I was trying to go to Hood, and you about to ask him a question, and then it's going to get further away.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me pass it to Hood Conservative.
Yeah, I think those are two. There are two things at play here. One, I think even in your little podcast, even in your acknowledgement of the struggles of life and parenthood and whatnot, I think it's also just a rather naked attempt to kind of dissuade the argument And by saying that, some people you only focus on the bad stuff. You never focus on the good stuff. Yeah, but nobody goes to the doctor for the good stuff, bro. Like, that's kind of the point here. I think that there have been a lot of arguments that have been made to kind of knock the conversation off target, when the simple fact is young black kids running wild through the street is the conversation, and it has very little to do with all the things that we've been saying all this time, like systemic racism and white supremacy. And in fact, you could argue, like SKC was doing a really great job earlier, making the point that our constant focus on putting all of our troubles at the feet of this alleged white supremacy and this alleged racism, it is actually causing that type of response from the children. You can actually draw a straight through line from that argument to that behavior. And I think we can't really, I think that we're getting closer and closer to the point where all the arguments as to why we need to shut up are just falling on deaf ears. People aren't going to want to listen to the, you had a hard life and your mom wasn't really a great mom. And people aren't going to care when you're killing their children, you're robbing their house, and you're burning their store down.
Conservative. I'm trying, because this is Bernard's show. I want to say I'm really, really, really trying to be respectful, bro. I don't understand why it is these grown ass men, bro, sit on these panels. This is what I'm saying. Is it intentional? Like, why do you have, in order for you to make your point, you have to mischaracterize what the other person has said? I never said anything about reporting bad and reporting good. That never came out of my mouth. Never, not one time. So why are you responding to that as if I said it?
You did make that point.
Say that again.
The point about guys only talking about the bad stuff. You did make the argument about guys who only talk about the bad stuff.
That's not what I said.
So readdress that point if I misquoted you.
What I said was they only talk about the things that make black people the victimizers. They never talk about the situations where black people are actually victims. That's what I said. Rewind the tape. This ain't about good or bad. I'm speaking specifically on one, when it comes to the content creators.
Conversation right now.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I make this clear. When it comes to the content creators, I'm speaking specifically on one thing and one thing only. Content creators like Chaotic Truth, who will, you see a situation where some black people did something wrong, you do a whole show about it. You see a situation where something wrong was done to a black person, you have nothing to say about it. That's what I was speaking to specifically. As it pertains to the teens running wild downtown, Bernard Riley, as a content creator with multiple dozens of thousands of subscribers, I hope you was listening to me clearly. I would like to ask you, what did I say specifically about that behavior downtown?
And that's what I'm saying. A little podcast.
I specifically said it was disgusting. I don't have nothing that I could say to back it up or defend it or anything like that. I literally said that. And then I started talking about the parents and the politics. All I said was, if we're going to hold the kids accountable, then we have to also hold the people who are in charge of the kids accountable for why they're even out there in the first place. I spoke about when you go to places where the children ain't doing that type of stuff, you can see the differences in their neighborhoods and those neighborhoods. I didn't lie about anything. I didn't make them the victims. I didn't do any of that. So this thing that y'all are responding to is your emotion about anybody not demonizing black people. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it for you.
All right. So it did sound like you were deflecting away from it. It did sound like that.
How, if I specifically said I have nothing good to say about it and I'm not going to try to defend it? It was disgusting. I seen them hitting on that white lady and I didn't like a second of it. I literally said all of that. So how am I deflecting?
I don't understand how. Really quickly, please.
Wait. Answer the question. If I said that, how did I deflect?
Well, if
I spoke specifically to their behavior, how did I deflect?
You did what's called in sales AIM. It's an acronym: acknowledge, ignore, then move on. You basically acknowledged it, then you ignored it, and then you moved on, and you brought up other somewhat, related stuff that seemed to deflect from the issue. I mean,
wait a minute. Do you make
hold on, wait, real quick. When the price of eggs is brought up, And I understand
In
your
what
logical
reference?
progression. It's all kind of other problems going wrong that's preventing the parents from being good parents. And now the parents aren't being good parents because of all these other problems in society that's coming from a top-down kind of way. And then now the parents can't be good parents, and now the kids are out running the streets. And I understand how you're trying to work the internal logic in that. I just don't think it's a good enough excuse.
How is
That's
it an
pretty much.
excuse? That's my point. Is how
I don't think it's a good enough reason. I don't think it's a good enough causal step-by-step reason to where that many kids in a particular area are being that bad at the same time to try to say that it's mostly top down and not and not more on the not more of an inside problem.
Okay, Bernard, let's do this really quickly then.
Okay.
Let's do this really quickly then. So
I got your next
first of
opportunities.
all, let's do this really quickly. First of all, can you concede to the plausibility that maybe what I did was not what you say I did, but maybe what I did was acknowledge and then gave precipitation? Maybe that's what I did, was that I acknowledged and then I said, well, here is the prerequisite for that behavior. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not deflecting from it. I'm saying this is what they did, and here are some of the causes for why they end up that way. Because when I look at situations where the kids aren't doing that, I can see the exact difference on where they come from and how they're living. I can see it. It's tangible. You can touch it. It's not like I'm making it up, right? That's first of all, right? Second of all, at the end of the day, when I'm talking about certain things, about the parents and bills and different stuff like that, right? You're saying that it's not a good enough reason. I didn't excuse it, but you said it's not a good enough reason. Again, if you can see it, I can literally bring you out to where my mom lives. I can take you to where my son lives in the suburbs of Chicago, lives out in Wood Ridge. It's not like that. I guarantee you, nan one of those kids downtown came from Wood Ridge, because it's not like that out there. That's what I'm saying. It's a whole different ball game out there. The children are being raised different. The environment is different and all of that, right? But this was the thing
being
you
raised
said.
Different.
That's true. The parents are way more involved. That's a fact. But this is the thing that you said, though. You said all of those children, right? How many kids did they say was down there? Does anybody know? Right.
They said somewhere between 250 to 350 kids.
Okay. Well, there was a lot of different videos happening at different times in different spots, so we can't just
and different days.
Okay,
and based off what Hood Conservative said, even different cities, but we're not even trying to deal with that one.
Yeah, let's just stick with Chicago. So at one given time, can we just go with 300?
I don't think we can, because in one wide shot of one video, I saw damn near 300, and then in another wide shot of at least 100.
Right, but that's it. Yeah, thank you for thinking that through. Like, did you really think in a wide shot that you would have been able to see 300 people? Like, that's what I'm saying. Let's be accurate in our statement. We don't have to speak in hyperbole, bro. Let's just.
I'm not speaking in hyperbole, but there's shots where the camera is looking right here, and then it panned over here, and then it looked right there, and then you could see something. I mean, I don't know. It was just a bunch of kids running around. A bunch of kids running around.
Okay, that's my bad. Let's go with 500. Would you say there was 500 kids down there at any one time?
I don't. Five is a bit high, but I don't even know where this is going now.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let's go with 5. How many kids do you think live in Chicago? Black kids?
I don't know, man.
Can we say kid is anything under 18?
Yeah, kid is anything under 18. So I don't know what.
So as far as kids go, as far as kids go in the city of Chicago under 18, it's probably about 300, somewhere around 350 to 360,000 of them. And we had, let's go with 500. What percentage of 350,000 is 500? It's not even 1%, right? So again, this is what I'm saying. We have to be able to be willing to put things in context. And subjectively, was it a lot of kids running around? Would it be something to try to handle 100 to 500 people? Of course it was. But at the end of the day, if you get all of the bad kids from the south side, from the west side, from the north side, from the east side, right? It's probably 500 of them. So if you can get all of those kids to come together at one time, now it's a whole message that look at all the kids in Chicago when it's more than 300,000 of them.
So use the same logic when it comes to the police.
Who said anything? I ain't said nothing about the police. So what's your point about?
No, I'm just saying black community as a whole. If it for your argument to hold and to say, you know
that's a
what,
point.
there was only about 300 to 500 kids out there. That was less than 1% of the population of the kids that are in Chicago. Then extrapolate that and use that same argument when you came to the George Floyd and the Amari Arbery and all that other stuff. That was way less than a half of 1%.
Wait, why are you
Than
saying
all
that
of
to
than all
me,
of
though?
all of the issues that ever happened with police and activities and all of
But do
that.
you see
So
what I'm saying? You're arguing against something that's not even in this conversation right now. Why are you saying
no,
that to me?
I'm just saying for Black America as a whole to be logically consistent. If we're to use your argument, let's use that argument across the board.
Right.
Hey, the
What was
kids
my
are just a
argument?
small issue. Then that
What was my
also means that the
argument?
cops are not an issue. If you
Okay, wait,
don't
what
want to
was my
respond to the
argument?
kids, then you should not respond to anything that has to do with the police either, because it's just
Got you.
such a small, tiny issue.
Okay, got you. So what was my actual argument about the percentage of children? About the percentage of kids?
That it's a small portion of the population, and to
No, it
make
wasn't my argument.
okay,
My argument
give me your
wasn't the
argument.
fact that it was a small. See, this is what I'm saying, people. That wasn't my argument. My argument is that when you're talking about the amount of kids that was down there, right? It's a lot of kids subjectively, true. But at the end of the day, hold on. But at the end of the day, what my argument was is that those kids don't represent the bulk of Chicago, right? But they do represent the specific children that I was talking about, as far as they have the type of parents who are dysfunctional, who may be overworked or underworked, worried about food prices, worried about gas prices, worried about rent prices. That was my point of that, is that those specific kids come more than likely come from that kind of background. It wasn't necessarily trying to diminish the fact of how many numbers it was. That's why I said subjectively it was a lot of kids. That would be a lot to try to handle, whether it was kids or police. So that wasn't the point. The point was to accept the fact that those particular kids come from a specific demographic of people. It's not to victimize Black people, but it's to say if you concentrate a certain number of Black people who, let's just go for lack of a better term, have been victimized, guess what? It's gonna look like that. All you gotta do is concentrate them. It's gonna look like that. And I just watched another news report where they're saying they're planning on a second round of this in the weekend coming up, right? So somebody is putting this together. It's being concentrated this way. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to make it like, you know what I'm saying, all Black people just out here victims, and it's not the point. But when you have that specific demographic of people, when you had a conversation, just had the context. I got a son. He lives in Woodridge, Illinois. He goes to school and he works. Every time I talk to him, he's either getting out of school, on his way to work. That's all he does every single day of the week, right? He just made 18 this past Friday. So
really quickly though, what evidence do you have to even make that kind of claim?
Wait, hold on. We do gotta just hold your thought.
Yeah, pass it on, pass it on, pass it
on. Hold on. Hold your thought, sir. Go ahead. Obstacles, opportunities. You got it.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. What's going on? First of all,
what's going on?
Everything's good. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
We good.
Hey, look, man. I think for men, you guys got to understand, y'all having conversations and y'all have different ideas and different opinions. So I heard a lot of I don't understand. That's the problem. You're not understanding what somebody else is saying. You don't see it from his perspective, then you might not agree, or you might not understand whatever one it is. But I hear you guys continuously architect. I don't understand that. Then don't get angry and don't start yapping back. You don't understand. You just said it. And we're moving to the conversation of whose fault it is. These are people. They made their decision. And a lot of times we kind of have these reasons and justifications, whatever we want to terminalize, as why it happened. It happened because that's what they did. And we had a show, me and Bernard, and we talked about what? Probably potential of some of those problems that those parents are allegedly dealing with, because we don't know what kind of parents these kids do got. We don't know that for sure. We're just guessing, right? But net, food prices, and they don't own their homes, and rent is super high. These are people making choices to have kids that they're probably not prepared to have, right? They're not economically ready to have these kids, and they do have them. So the problem is on the parents, yes, because they probably, if that is the case, I don't know for sure, that these parents are poor and they can't make ends meet, and they're worried about the price of food and China and rice, and I don't know. But if that be the case, then of course they made a mistake, right? And we have to figure out what programs we can institute that kind of possibly help anybody to figure out how they get themselves out of their situation and put the proper programs inside the communities to figure out what kids can do and what options are available. I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, we had a bunch of buck wild kids, same single mom and all that crazy nonsense. But they did have a police program. And in that police program, it took all the kids that had the issues in Howard County and put them in positions where they did not have the same issues, right? But it was more of a mentorship program. It was more of actually the kids had something to do, right? Some authority after hours of school. And so that helped with the parents that did not do the proper planning and had that set up for those kids. So I think it's just a conversation of what we can do and institute to figure it out. Now, if we want to, like Dr. Amos Wilson said, Black folks love to sit around and talk about who, what, when, where, why, and how. They love to say, oh, this is the reason, it's because of this, but they don't like to sit down and work out a solution. So I would hope that in this freaking probably 3 hours of stream, somebody can figure out a solution. And if you got a problem with paying rent and it's too high, then come to me and let's do a Bernard. We'll do a show and we'll talk about how you can get a loan application and start making money on your property. But y'all fools ain't going to show up for that, are you? Anybody going to show up? Anybody going to show up? Show up, pull up. Say you're going to pull up right now and we do the numbers. I'll go after he's done and go 5 hours on a stream and show y'all how to run the numbers. I'll show you how to make money. I'll show you how to do it legit, traditional. I'll show you how to do it if you're working at Mickey D's. I don't care. Ain't nobody going to pull up, man. That's the problem.
And you got a few people saying they'll pull up. You got a few people.
A few, bro. And shout outs to those who will. Shout outs to those who will.
Yeah. His information should be in the chat room. Information should be in the chat room. I'm pretty sure RM is putting it there. But we also got on the panel Derek in the building. There was somebody else in the back too. You can come back, bring you up.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
All right, cool. I'll be real quick. I'm gonna answer the first question and go into a bigger point. Basically, the short answer is, I guess you could say this is the parents' fault because these kids are out of control. You let your kids go outside, you don't know where they at, or you don't really care what they're doing. The Black community, in my opinion, is pretty much finished. There's no leadership. The parents don't care. There's no accountability. In my opinion, if this was any other group, they had to come in and say, oh, no, we don't support this. We're going to handle this. The NAACP, quiet. BLM, quote unquote, quiet. Black politicians, quiet, or they're making excuses, or, oh, don't demonize the kids. Like, nobody wants to hear that anymore. We don't care. And we're at a turning point politically because a lot of people are getting tired of this. A lot of these big major liberal cities are all falling apart. You look at San Francisco, Portland, Chicago, LA. It's just a big fat mess. And all these liberal policies that we thought were good ideas at one point. Oh, we need to decriminalize marijuana. We need to stop cash bail. All that stuff is coming back to bite everybody now. All these criminals are getting out, going in, getting out, getting locked back up because they're just going back and doing the same crimes over and over again. Because I think one of you guys are from Chicago. I don't know if you saw the story. There's a carjacker. I think he took somebody's car in Cook County. He messed up. He went to a different county in Illinois and got locked up for 22 years because he thought he was going to go into jail and get out the same week. So, because I think the prosecutor, Kim Porter, she's just terrible. She just lets people out or give them like easy or low bail, or doesn't choose to prosecute crimes at certain times. So, I think we're at a point where, I don't know if you guys remember Chris Rock's special. I think it was Bring the Pain. He had the black leather jacket. He did a joke about black people versus niggas. But we're going to be at that point very soon where it's going to be a civil war. It's not going to be an actual war. It's going to be more of a political war where we're going to have a separation between the black working class and the degenerate portion of our population, where we're going to have to separate, and people are going to become more conservative and say, okay, you know what? We're not going to put up with this anymore. We're going to start voting and moving in a different direction. So, yeah, that's my point.
All right. What I'm thinking with this is like, when it comes to the problem, it's like well, a lot of times with black people, it's like we can't even there's not a clear agreement on what the problem is. And when we start trying to explain stuff, and I don't think we get past that part that you alluded to, where you have politicians, or whoever the supposed leaders. I don't even know if other communities have leaders that that get in front of the microphone and speak. But anyway, it turns into, I think, a lot of people just making excuses for it. And so when we're in a place where mostly just excuses are being made for it, I don't is it's hard to even get get to the point where we're even talking about a adequate, valid solution, because people, in my opinion, do a lot of deflecting or excuses making. And then so we never the people who are in the positions to say what makes sense, they tend to deflect. And that so it's like it can't even get out of the starting blocks, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, because I think you had the incoming mayor of Chicago. He was the one that made the comment, "Oh no, don't criticize these kids, or don't no. This is the time of leadership where you say this was disgrace. We don't stand for this, and we're going to do something about it. You have to show leadership. People don't want to hear excuses for people, or a white woman or a man is getting beat up on the side of the street in downtown Chicago. Like enough is enough. People are going to get tired of these liberal policies, because at a certain point, people were like socially liberal, like, okay, we don't want to be right wing or whatever, but they've been voting Democrat for so long that they've taken it too far now. And people are seeing the effects of these policies now. You look at all these major cities, they're all falling apart. Homeless people all over the side of the street, drug use is everywhere. There's no penalties or
my life.
no accountability.
Sir Tice in the building, $5 super chat. He says, Beans, I don't buy the parents are pro sob story, because many of our parents and grandparents were poorer, had less access, and still didn't rage out. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Don't know if anybody want to respond to that super chat that was just read.
Yeah, because we can't go back to 1968, 1971. We can't go back to none of those other times and see black people raging out and burning stuff down. You're exactly right, fam. You got it.
We damn sure had more acres of land and more communities. But what I would say is that on top of that, bro, like I said, this narrative, bro, nobody owes you nothing in this world, bro. It's eat or be eaten. That's just what it is. Y'all been listening to liberals or the Constitution and human rights for too long. Y'all out here bugging. Y'all gonna have conflict. You're gonna have enemies.
Who are you addressing? Who you addressing?
No, I'm just talking about it in general, because what's being said, right? As far as, oh man, hey, these are the things. It's a small percentage. Hey, somebody's setting it up. It might not be what it really is. I'm just saying that net, it's all. Especially, I saw the video with the politicians coming in, right, and they were talking about like, yeah, the corporates ain't investing in the community, and these aren't our areas, and we shouldn't have to go to other areas for jobs. I'm saying that it is our job to take control. Nobody's going to help you in your life. Nobody owes you nothing. Not the government, not politicians, not your mama, not your daddy. Y'all need to start acting grown. Everybody's out here for themselves. And yes, there is going to be people in competition. Ain't no other group, ain't nobody else out there trying to give you equality. That's stupid. If you believe in that, then you're not plugged into reality. That doesn't even make any sense. Why would I want somebody else to be equal to me so they can beat me? No. I'm going to actually rig the game in my favor. I'm going to actually set it up so I can have success. And so with that being said, if that's how the world works, then we have to get active. We have to get in the game. We have to compete. And of course, other people are going to try to deceive us. They're going to try to undermine us. They're going to try to manipulate. This happens. That's a part of life, right? But we have to
what's so funny though is that you said we have to get. You said we have to get active. And you know what's so funny about that is that's the same thing that was written on the screen of the video where they was beating that white lady up. Is
What was?
hey, we got
Let's
active.
get active.
Yes, literally, that's what's on the screen of the video where they beating the white lady up. It says, "Yeah, we get active."
Okay. So what was the point?
My point is that shit that you're saying right now don't matter, bro. It has absolute I hate when people want to go, it's the liberal and the Democrat and the Republican. It's like, at what point in the history?
Well, he didn't say that part. That was a gentleman at the bottom that said that. I
No,
don't
the
think
guy at the top
said that
right now is talking about.
I said that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, my
he
bad.
is. I'm listening. I see this is the difference between me and y'all, but not. I actually listen to people when they talking. Right. So
Look,
I
if
know
I
who I'm
don't
responding to and who I'm responding to.
do
No,
that.
go ahead.
Don't do
Go ahead.
that.
Make your
Hold
point.
on,
They
hold on.
all
Don't
day
do that.
long, bro. Listen.
Hold
all the
on.
stuff that they
Wait,
saying-
brother. Don't do that. If I missed something, I missed something. I probably was clicking on something in the back, was probably reading some super chats, I'm trying to post something to Patreon. If I missed them, say that. I missed them, say that. Don't take it. Don't take shots. But all right, go ahead.
Bro,
You got it.
the point is this though, because I'm saying, well, all of this stuff that they saying is talking points. I'm not trying to change nobody's mind for what they talking points is. I'm saying it was unnecessary to bring the talking points into this conversation, because I'm not saying none of that stuff that they saying. At the end of the day, guess what? It's tangible. Like I said, you can argue with me, but if you come to Chicago, I could take you to the suburbs and show you what it's like out there. And then I can take you to the city and show you what it's like in the city. And you can't tell me that those differences don't matter. I'm not making excuses. I already said,
Well,
shorty that was down there
little
doing what they
podcast.
doing, that was absolutely horrible. There's no excuse for it. Ain't nothing happened. I don't know what they're doing out there.
But I'm
And
not
for
talking
whatever
about
reason,
podcast. Little
no, I'm
podcast.
in the middle of speaking.
What's your
And when
evidence?
everybody else was speaking, I was quiet. I muted myself.
I was talking and you said something, but it's okay.
So I already said what them shorties did, deplorable. No excuse for it, right? And now they talking about doing it again. And I have concerns for their well-being and for other people well-being that they might run into, right? But my thing is, just saying it's wrong, right? Just saying black people need to vote Republican, that ain't gonna change nothing, right? So the issue is that we all know what the issue is as far as the whole Manosphere red pill talking points is. We know what that is. So we have to apply that. We can't say, on one hand, we want to say, ladies, y'all destroying the community, you're destroying the family with these decisions that y'all making and blah, 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 blah. But then when the kids are the resemblance of the destruction that we saying the black women are creating, we want to act like we don't know where it came from. Bro, which one is it? Is it just that niggas ain't shit? Or is it that it's choices being made that lead us down the road to where we end up to what we're seeing right now, right in front of us?
The stuff that we talk about in this space that we get criticized for talking about it is the reason why that stuff is happening. Like so nobody is denying that. You just made it seem like we're denying that.
And I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the politician.
And it's like, oh, yo, it's the victim Olympic. It's like, no, it's not the victim Olympic. I'm literally pointing out someone it's what's the word? It's in concert, right, with the red pill manosphere talking points to say that when you see these mothers, right, if we know that it's a percentage of mothers that's single, right, we know it's a percentage of households that don't have fathers in it, right? So then I'm saying when you see these specific types of kids, yes, we have the right to assume that the majority of those kids came from those kind of situations, because the kids who come from other situations, they ain't out there like that. Nobody pulling them into that type of stuff. My daughter, a Hebrew Israelite. My son, go to school and go to work. They not in those spaces. They not get sucked into that type of conflict.
The only difference is that when we see kids in those situations, we look at it. Well, now I don't want to speak for everybody, but a lot of people that speak on my channel and myself, we look at it more so from it's a cultural problem that's happening there. And I think when we talk about it from a cultural problem, like if you could agree with our analysis of the black community and black women and all of that, and then the single when they're raising kids by themselves and the statistical outcomes when they raise the kids by themselves, and then we see the kids out there doing that. If you could follow all of that logic, then I don't understand where the pushback is, and I don't understand why going through the whole progression. I don't understand why going through the whole progression and all the other reasons where I'm not going to say you deflected from it, but we interpret it as you deflecting from it. I don't even see why even go down that route. Why bring up the price of eggs and tea in China? So it's like
those are the
so
things
people.
Because
yeah,
those
so
are
it's
the,
like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
go
off,
ahead.
because those
Go
are the
ahead.
things affecting the people responsible for those kids, right? That's what I'm saying. Though, whether we like it or not, it's just the truth. Like for a long time, bro, I didn't see it because my situation is a little bit different. I didn't see the struggle that people were going through, specifically since the pandemic, right? So when I came back to Chicago, I saw it, and it was like, oh, okay, so it is a lot of people off work. And then it was like, oh, okay, so a lot of people getting this money and they don't want to go back to work. Then it's like, oh, okay, now you overweight and lazy, so you can't go back to work, right? That's just one side of it, right? Then you have the other side of it where people who have been, I'll give you an example. I know a woman, I won't say who it is because I don't want to put her on Front Street, but I know a woman, she's been in her job for almost 20 years, bro. Watch this. After 20 years, guess how much she makes? $24 an hour. My daughter just went and got a job at a warehouse making 22, and she's been there for
That's
2
her
months.
fault.
Okay, I understand
Right.
that.
Bro,
I
come on,
understand.
man. Come
Okay,
on.
so look what I'm saying. What
No
did I
sob
just
story.
say right now? Did I just say anything in defense of her? Did I just say anything to go against the
It
business
wasn't
that
about
she
a
works for?
defense, bro. You being
Right,
defensive
so
in
why are you
general.
saying that? Well, so what's the point of saying that's her
But
fault?
it's implied, though.
Because
But what was
Right,
It's
yeah.
not
This whole
implied.
what
thing
was
is a
your
It's
defensive
not implied.
position.
That's the point. It's not this.
All right, so
Hold on, Bernard,
what's
please. Let
what's
me say
sad
this. Let me
about
say
her
this,
making
bro. Because this needs to
$24 an
be
hour?
said in this
Why is
space.
it that? Why is it a
Y'all do
problem
this
that she makes what she
way
makes?
too much, but y'all think
Conservative.
anything
hold
is
on.
Not
implied,
sad.
bro.
Why is that significant?
Sometimes people say things and it's not for the reason that you think it is. So it'd be best for you
Well,
to
I'm
find out
asking
why they're saying it
All right,
instead
hold
of
on,
saying
wait,
it's
hold on.
implied. The point ain't
Look, man.
about whether or
Okay,
not
what
the
was the
company should be paying her
reason for
more.
bringing it up?
Bro,
Because it's okay. Hold on. What was the reason for bringing it up? Because
oh,
there's a lot of
let
stuff
me.
that you bring up, and then when we look at everything else you said leading up to it,
Okay,
there are
Bernard, I got you. Let
implications
me
of
say
what
this.
you're saying. When
Okay, I
we
got
go
you, Bernard.
right
Let
to
me say.
hold
I
on,
got
let me finish my sentence. Let me finish my sentence. When we go right to the logical implications and the logical progression of everything that you said, and we draw the simple conclusion that everybody else would draw, and then it's almost like you. It's like we found a logical hole in your argument, and then you
No,
cop a
it's
plea
not,
and say that's
Bernard.
not why I said it.
Jesus
You just
Christ, man, it's not. The only reason why you
okay.
think that makes sense is because you have a specific mindset. And so because you have that preset, anything you hear, you're running it through that lens.
No, it's because
Okay, wait.
in elementary.
Wait.
Because
Bernard,
hold on,
please,
wait.
listen.
Time out.
Come on. All right, bro, you got it.
I remember in either elementary school, probably middle school, they taught us to basically, if it's they will show us a word that we don't know what it means. Okay, we don't know what this word means, but then they'll have us read the sentences leading up to where that word in a paragraph, and then based off everything else that was said in the paragraph, we are to now conclude or figure out with that word that we never saw before that had like 6 syllables. We were to figure out in the 6th grade what that word actually means. We were supposed to infer the meaning of the word based off what was implied, based off everything else in the sentence. So you will give us a whole paragraph and then close out on a particular point. And then when we do what we naturally are programmed to do,
the point.
When we do what we naturally programmed to do, every time we're reading a book, when we got to infer the meaning of something, we draw the logical conclusion. Everybody arrives at that conclusion all at the same time. And then when we call you on it, you say, no, that's not what I meant.
Because you all are thinking the same way. Bernard, here's the thing. The thing that y'all thought was implied, you're wrong about it. So I don't understand for the life of me how it is you're still trying to make the argument that it's okay to believe something that is implied when you're saying right now you're wrong. All of you who thought I was implying something specifically were absolutely 100% wrong. It didn't have anything to do with the company or victimizing her or any of the other dumb shit that y'all thought I was trying to say. The only reason why I brought up the fact that she's been at that company for almost 20 years and she makes only $24 an hour is because at the end of the day, guess what? She still feels the pressure of bills. That's it. That's the only reason why I brought that up. She still feels the pressure of bills. That's it. She's working all the time. So now she has to do overtime, right? In order to make more money. Now she does overtime, of course, because she made $24 an hour. That's an extra $12 an hour. So now she's getting 36. But now guess what? She's going out the house even more, which means she has less time to be responsible for her child. That was the point.
And I will go back to what
that's exactly why you need to just
said.
start saying
And I will go right back. Hold on. Time out, Hood. I got you. I'll go right back to what Obstacle Opportunity said when he responded by saying that's her fault. our response is still the same, even though you added the additional context.
Yeah,
Right,
and
but
it could
he
have
was
just
trying to
been
say
like,
I'm making it like it's something
no, I
else
didn't.
wrong, or I'm
just
not
wanted to
making it
say
like
that.
it's nothing else wrong. I'm not trying to make it like it's the system or none of that. I'm only bringing up the point to say because of that, right? You would think somebody been on a job for a long time. That's what people tell you. You go to work,
All right, let me
you
know.
go to job, you stay there for 40 years, you retire, right? So you're being taught this right now. You've been on the job for 20 years, but you only making $24 an hour. So now you got to work overtime. My whole point again, bro, and you talk about deflecting, nobody's addressing my point, which is the fact that because she has to commit more time, that's less time for her to be a parent. Now, thankfully, this woman is in a situation where there's a man in the picture. So there's a man in the household, which means the child is usually never without a parent when they're at home. But a lot of other people don't have that. So think about the people that's in that kind of situation and it ain't a man in the house. Now that's more time for the kids to have less parental guidance. So all I'm saying is, yes, there are reasons for those, and I'll take whatever reasons people say, but don't make it like I'm implying shit that ain't came out of my mouth. That disrupts the conversation. If you want to know what I'm saying, you can literally say, bro, are you saying woo, woo, woo? And I can tell you, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm only saying that to say this, brother.
Listen, you kind of inferred that. I just said like that's her fault, but you could have said yes.
That's not her fault. That's really not her fault.
Okay,
But
all
I
right.
don't
understand why people saying that.
That's what I'm saying. I never got to say this is what I'm
Let me
saying.
just finish it. Let me just finish it, okay? And what I'm saying is watch how this communication go. I wasn't inferring that you were giving her excuse. I just wanted to say, like, man, that's that lady's fault. And you could have said, yeah, right. And then you could have kept on and made your point, which your point at the end of the day was that she feels the pressure. And right. And of course, not in her example. She had a husband or a partner, so he was able to actually be there for the child also. But other people who don't have that situation. And then, so we got the point, right? So the anger and all the other stuff, like, we got you. And once again, I'm not trying to imply that you said she was giving an excuse or anything like that. I just want to make that point that was that lady's fault. But you can go, brother. You said it's not her fault.
Well, hold on real quick on that. I just got one quick question. I don't even want to derail it on this. What city did this person live in?
Inbound. Chicago.
What the? Okay, I don't know. Okay, I don't know the economics out there that well. But what I do know that $24 an hour times 40-hour work week, that's just under $50,000 a year. That's more than what the average American makes. So I mean, it's like, I mean,
can I explain my reason why it's not her fault?
I'm gonna go to Ed first. Because Ed came
crazy.
up before you.
Did you include taxes in that number? Because I'm pretty sure you did.
No, I wasn't. No, I didn't. I didn't have to. That's why. That's what I asked where she lived, because if it was somewhere in California, I understand that 50,000.
She's in Chicago. She pays 50,000. That's a lot of money. That's a good amount of money.
You would think
what I was. Yeah, okay. Ed left. That's
good
not
amount
a lot
of
of money.
Anybody who don't know that, and you're talking to a multimillionaire, that's a lot of money.
It's not.
All right, that's not
a lot of money.
It's not in Chicago.
That's a good amount of money. Bro, Chicago, I can pull up the numbers. Let's do a stream. You can't beat me on the numbers, bro.
Here's my thing. Let's do the stream. Here's what I want to know from you, multimillionaire. When you're wrong, are you just gonna say, you know what, dog?
I would say I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, but I'm not. I know this.
Okay, cool.
She needs to use her life. She probably got poor financial habits. She probably don't spend her money right. She probably don't save, and she probably got massive amounts of issues. That's what it is. The numbers make sense. 50,000. Type in a calculator right now. Type in the World Income Calculator, and you put 50,000. That's a good amount of money.
You're right.
That is not. Don't listen to this guy.
Bro,
nobody strives to make 50K a year. Get the hell out of here, man.
One job.
You didn't even. Why didn't you stop at 50K if it was enough?
It's a good enough amount of money when you by yourself.
I got my money through a 50K job. If you really want to know, I can show you.
Okay, so you use that money to leverage to get more money. So obviously it wasn't enough. So anyway, let me say my point. No, because you're not making any sense. The reason why it's not,
because I know what I'm talking about.
Hold on. You already finished talking, and then I want to speak.
Go ahead, John.
You made no sense, really, what you said. 50K is not enough.
You don't have financial literacy.
50K is not enough. First of all,
hold on real quick. If you're making 50K, yes, you should strive to make more, and not everybody generally agrees with that. But you can pay rent. with 50K, you typically can pay rent in a car note.
You can't have a family. You want to subject her to just.
Okay, I'll just say this. I had a family and my wife didn't work, and one of the years of our marriage I made 50K. The bills were paid and we were fine. I've took care of a family off 50K. Like it can be done.
50K a month equates to $2,886
and that's just 40 hours of her working 40
Can I
hours
finish
only,
my
bro.
point? It's really
I'm gonna pass
not.
it to you. I'm gonna pass it to
It's
you.
really not enough, especially when you have when you have people making 3, 4, 5, 10 times more than that. Like, it's really not. So I don't want to hear that argument. Yeah, you may be able to get by, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck. And living paycheck to paycheck is not well off. I'm sorry. The reason why it's not her
I didn't
fault.
say it was well off. I just was saying
It doesn't even have to be well off. Nobody wants to be stuck at 50K a year. Nobody.
Of course you don't.
Okay, then. So if you don't want, if it was a comfortable living,
I'm really trying to be patient, Bernard.
I know.
God,
All right. I didn't want to derail it enough, but just when I look at the overall, I'll just say this, and I'm going to pass to you, and let's move on from the 50K. When I look at the overall total economics of how a capitalist system will work, if we're not talking about making a full-blown socialism and everybody get the same exact thing, there's going to be a top class, a upper class, a lower class, poverty, extreme poverty, and somewhere in the middle, there's going to be people that make around 50K. 50K, if you're making around 50K in most places, you're just in the middle somewhere. You should thrive. You should strive to do more, but you can make it if you budget and manage your money right. You can make it off 50K to where to where
you can make it off 30K.
I'm not going to shed a tear or write a candle for it. I'm not going to shed it.
If you budget your money right.
Do you see what I put in the back for you? That's smartasset.com. That's the Illinois
51.
paycheck calculator at $40 at $24 an hour, 40 hours a week. It comes out to $14.43 bi-weekly. That's $2,800 a month. And I can tell you that I know for sure she has a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. Her rent is $1,600. So out of that $2,800, her rent is $16.
Thank you.
All right. If the rent is
we don't even need to break it. I don't even know why we're breaking that down.
Oh, now we don't know why we breaking it down.
Who said that?
I hate you, YouTube niggas.
No, that was a dude that's agreeing with you that said that. So pump the brakes.
It's simple. I know the reason why I said I don't know why you're breaking it down, because it is very simple. And these buffoons are up here pretending like 50K is enough when you got rent.
You're gonna stop with that. You're gonna stop with that calling me out my name. In my city where I'm at, paying $1,000 for rent. Okay, I must live in a small town where the wages are not necessarily that high out here. Paying $1,000 for rent.
Not everybody's paying $1,000 for rent.
I didn't say everybody was. I didn't say. Wait.
Hold on.
Everybody, I need y'all to shut up. I need everybody to shut up. We're about to move on from this. If you make 50K, I can agree with you that $1,600 a month is too much rent for somebody that make 50K. In most places where based off everything that I know and understand, everything that I looked up and I researched, that if it's places to live where you don't got to pay damn near $2,000 a month rent when you're making 50K. That's just simple as that.
Okay,
simple as
Bernard,
that. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from this because
I gotta go real quick. I just want to say one thing.
The show. Who just said
I gotta
that?
go. But I just want to say
I want you to make your point.
Okay, so just to get Bob with that, 10% with 50K, you're at 10% bracket for federal tax, so that's taking $5,000 out. Then you got other things that's taken out, like your health insurance, state taxes, and other entities taking money out of that. So yeah, it's not enough. Second thing, it's not her fault, because I'm pretty sure she was taught growing up that if you work a job long enough, you'll get promotions, you'll get a raise, you'll get things like that, where we have Black youth that are on these jobs for 10, 15 years, don't get a promotion, don't get a raise, but you'll have a white person, a white male, a white female come in and be in there for a year with no experience and get a supervisor position or get a position over them. So it's clear what goes on with her situation. It's going on with a lot of young scholars situations as well. So it's not her fault that she stayed there for 20 years and made $24 an hour. Like, I don't I don't agree with that because she was programmed to believe that if she had longevity and tenure, she'll get the raises that she deserves and the money will start flowing in, and it hasn't. So I'm not putting that blame on her. That's all I got to say. Oh, and the lady, the white lady that got attacked had a boyfriend that she was with who got beat up more, and he was a black boyfriend, and he initiated the confrontation. So wasn't anything racial.
Oh wow.
Even that's not accurate to say he initiated it though.
He did initiate it because when he got bumped, and this is what both of their mouths. When he got bumped, he kept it moving. When she got bumped, she said something, and he turned around and said something to the group. So he initiated when he turned around and said something to the group.
Right.
So if he would have just kept it moving
already.
If he would have just kept it moving,
they were already attacked though, bro. What part of that is
they
okay?
got bumped. Just because they got bumped don't mean they're being attacked. They're being antagonized.
So when you turn around and say
they may have been being antagonized, but they weren't being attacked. Why are you cutting me off?
So,
I got to go in
well, because I was making a point too.
You can talk as soon as I leave.
Bro.
You can talk as soon as I leave. It wasn't anything racial either way because the boyfriend there responded to them, knew that these kids were acting crazy, and still went to them and tried to confront one of them for pushing his girlfriend. It's like, come on, they got what was
how did he walk up to them?
That's all I got to say.
Really, like, dude, you gonna drop me, man. You gonna really have to drop me. This is some bullshit.
Ed, you got the mic. Go ahead and speak on the topic.
Like, it ain't even like. First of all, I done forgot what the goddamn topic.
Ed, okay.
Back up a taste. Just a taste. Just give me some room. Hey. Okay, the door's gonna slam about now.
All right.
So where was that for all that fucking low IQ talk? Like seriously, no. Because here's my thing that really gets on my nerves. We literally went around the world 8 times to walk across the motherfucking street. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you. I'm about to calm down. Here's the thing. Let me say something very clearly. Stop trying to appeal to somebody's empathy and emotional side of the brain. The purpose of telling these long stories in order to appeal to somebody's empathy, so they draw the same conclusion you did. I'm from Chicago. My family fucking moved to North Carolina. And by the way, with a lot of people kicking and screaming. And that was one of the best decisions that folks ever made for me, my brothers. God knows what my little brother would be dealing with if he was still up there. There's always a choice. And yes, if I don't give a fuck what somebody been programmed. If you work a job 20 years and you're still doing that, every year you have a review. Yo, when I was in high school, I was tripping about how much money I was making, and I was making like $13 an hour, and I was literally still in school, and I finagled my way to getting, that was with white people running and stuff, no black folks around. So no, if you believe in the BS, that's your fault. And ultimately what I see is being said is we're using racism and white supremacy and economic white supremacy as a justification. I don't care how y'all try to sell it. I can tell by what's being said that you want folks to empathize with folks. You got folks in the third motherfucking world now operating like that. Like, for real, to live in tents and huts. The reality of the situation is there is no excuse. I do not give a damn about how you all try to articulate it, how you try to enlist empathy. It doesn't matter. They should have had a husband. There's too many decisions that are being made. And then when the shit hits the fan, all of a sudden, everybody wants to create this empathetic storyline in order to say, well, at the end of the day, they were doing fucked up stuff, but I understand. No, my mom was a single. Hold on, my own mom was a single mother, and I had a stepfather, and my mom did what the fuck she wanted to do too when she was younger. But one of the things that I will give my mother credit, my mom owned her bullshit, and regardless of the situation, we got way too many people not owning the bullshit they do. But just, and it's not just black people. You can say the same thing about white people when white people shoot these schools up, and then they don't deal with these white folks. Fuck the gun laws. They don't deal with these white folks the way they need to be dealt with. They're shooting up other white folks. So I'm not just putting this just on black people. Americans tend to play this game in general. But the reality is, talking about these like violin situations. Bernard, you need another video thing called the violin. Like, and thinking that you're gonna make that like right. And I don't care what you say as far as I understand. No, you don't. Because we basically walked around the world for something that we could have had an honest conversation about. As far as the economics, we live in different parts of the country. 50K can pay for some stuff in North Carolina, and stuff is starting to go up in North Carolina, but it can still do something. So it depends on where you are. Again, you can move. If you get marketable skills or trades, that actually gives you the ability to do so. Oh, by the way, if you get with a guy that's an electrician or that has a trade like a plumber, you know those blue collar workers that none of these black females want to deal with because they're not high value men. Yeah, they have the ability to go places. Hell, if you work for the fucking Pepsi bottle company, generally you can go to a lot of different spots and get some money. I know, because that's what my stepfather did, and moved up and ended up making like 40 something an hour. So my point is, anybody with a one person income and you got kids, at the end of the day, that's on you. You know why? Because your inability to actually work with a man is the reason why you're dealing with that. And so when we hear all it, so I'm landing it now. When we hear all this stuff about the red pill and what we talk about and all the fucking arrows that we get, not just from black women, but other black men, when we're trying to put this stuff out here, get this stuff out, let the other generation know, look, ain't nobody gonna give a fuck. You play today, you're gonna be fucked tomorrow, and nobody will care. And eventually they will deal with it. They're trying to get black people out of Chicago, just like they're trying to get black people out of New York. They're not gonna help you. They don't care. Part of them closing these Walmarts and doing all that is part of the plan. Part of them driving everything crazy is part of the plan. So when they get ready to remove y'all out of there, ain't nobody will give no fucks because they got enough non-blacks in there to actually want real change. Now, black people are not saying, well, we understand it, so we need to work together. No, they're basically scamming other black people. And so, no, all that violence shit, nobody gives a fuck about that. At the end of the day, they're going, no, the dude was not wrong. You got these motherfuckers that are fucking off the goddamn chains. And quite frankly, there just needs to be an etch-a-sketch on that shit. Like, seriously. And the last thing I'm going to say, too, this is the same bullshit that led up to how these fucking prison laws got activated in the first place. This dumb shit is actually how Joe Biden and all them Democrats started passing them war on crime laws and just straight locking niggas up. And by the way, it was niggas that paid for that shit, not these little chicks. When these little females, these little bitches, and I'm gonna say it just like that, as well as the dudes, when it's all said and done, that's gonna fall back on black men. Why they get to get fucking rehabilitation programs and get to go to school. Just like in the drug era, how a lot of these females gas these dumbass niggas, because they are stupid, up to sell drugs for pussy because of fly money, and then they got away with that shit. Talk about, I'm a single mom. I got with a drug dealer, and he's in jail now, and I don't know what to do about these cats. They get the fuck out of here. Anyway,
How much
I'm done.
To talk for that long.
Yeah, that good.
No,
What'd you say?
I get it though. When somebody is a person who is a friend of the show and they agree with everything that the show say, then it's like, yeah, they get to do all that spilling. But it's like, bro, at the end of the day, nobody is addressing what was actually said. Even when me bringing up the point about the young lady that made $24 an hour, right? Again, like I said, that's more than what the average woman makes. This is what I mean. Niggas just be talking. They don't be listening.
Women are not supposed. Hold on. Women are not supposed to. No. Shut the fuck up. Women are not supposed to be by themselves. Dude. Women, no. Let me address that real quick. No. I'm gonna fucking address that now. It's called two incomes. She's supposed to be up under a man. Is that true or is that false? She is supposed to be under a man. Is that true or is that false?
And this is exactly my point. What I mean when niggas don't listen.
She is supposed to be up under a man. Is that true or is that false?
This goes gonna let me know where you really at, Bernard, because I got a lot of respect.
You dodging my question. You want me to address it? Let's address it. She's
Bernard,
supposed to be up under a man. Is that true or is that false?
The woman who I described to you and told you that she had been working for 20 years and made $24 an hour. Did I say she had a man or she didn't have one?
I'm asking you.
I'm not talking to you.
I believe you said she did.
Bernard.
You were talking either about two
He said
people.
she did. He said she did. He said
Okay,
she
so
did,
then-
which means
Okay, so my question. Okay, so what the fuck is the point? Okay, time out, because you would say the whole bunch of shit. Don't try to act like you wasn't finagling everything. Dude, my point is, why bring her up then?
I really want
Right,
to know
you're
that,
talking
bro.
about income. Income and behavior are not the same thing, dude. You do not stop justifying income for behavior.
All right. Yeah, let him go. Go ahead, little podcast.
I really want to know that. If you knew that, then why aren't you checking him about that? Why aren't you saying, well, bro, you know, you're doing it now, yelling and screaming. He already said that woman was actually under a man.
You saying why I didn't jump in when he brought that up? I wasn't thinking about the full context of everything that you said and whether or not the woman in question had a girlfriend. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue your point for you.
It's not.
I do that.
That's the point.
Why is it even valid argument though? Because they don't have enough money. Why is that even justification?
Why is it arguing points when in reality we don't actually disagree about nothing? Why is anybody arguing points?
Why are you bringing it up?
You should have been
That's
shut
the
down
point.
like
Why are you bringing it up?
If you wouldn't have cut me off when I was telling the story, you would have knew why I brought it up. That was the whole.
Oh my God, man! This wow, man! Like, dude,
oh my God,
bro, you do realize all this is being recorded, right?
Come ass out of here.
Like you just saying shit, and then you're not gonna like violin us to death, dude.
In the beginning, and that's why I shared the smart assets calculator in the background, right? When you say, man, you look at it, you say this person is paying $1,600 a month. That sounds crazy, right? But guess what? The average rent for a 2-bedroom in the city of Chicago.
You know, he's never gotten to the point as to why he's bringing that up.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's okay for him to disrespect me. Why is that okay? But if my man called you out your name, you was all over it.
Oh no,
nigga, I didn't disrespect you. I just started talking.
You came up here insulting niggas, bro. We've been real fucking nice to you. You came out the gate on some bullshit. The niggas been cool with you.
Somebody else.
You did. Holy shit!
All right, everybody
this is that victim.
I came in and gave my perspective, and niggas thought I was on some victim Olympian stuff, and that's what they responded to instead of listening to what was.
All right, here's the deal. Here's the deal. All right, you did come in hot. You did come in taking jabs. All right, I didn't even hear Ed say nothing personal about you. His mic loud as hell. Turn it down if you can, Ed. But listen, I don't even. This conversation is getting wild. It's getting weird. You brought up the money and you gave the reason why you brought it up, how much money this chick made. They got a man who also make money. If he making the same thing she making, they living in a 6-figure household if they both making 50K. I mean, so either way it go, we still, even with you fully explaining it multiple times, we still don't see the point of you bringing it up.
Bernard, hold on real quick, please, sir. Please, bro. Let me, since I got a bed because I don't get the same respect as everybody else, bro. Please, bro.
Bullshit. That's bullshit.
If the niggas stop letting niggas cut me off when I'm talking, that won't happen. In the midst of me bringing up the woman and the money she made, a nigga jumped in and said that's her fault.
Hey, yo, Bernard, let this nigga talk for 5-10 minutes.
Words, right?
Let's
so what I'm saying is that, like right now, you muted me, bro. That means your mute button worked. Why you not?
I didn't just mute you.
I know. I'm saying before you muted me, he could be muted too, right? So
I have muted him. Muted him.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is this. Again, my point in bringing up
muted everybody.
Again, my point in bringing up the woman who made the money, right? My point was saying that because of the fact that she had to work overtime, right? That means she was less there as a parent. Now, like I said, in her situation, she actually had a man there. So let's consider the ones that don't, right? And then they're working all this extra time. We get it. It's their fault. It's their choices and all that. But the subject is the kids. And I'm explaining why I'm saying what I'm saying about the kids, or I'm addressing the parents and the politics that govern the kids. This is the situation that they're coming from, right? A lot of times, I'm not going to sit like somebody said, we assuming. Of course we are. Why would I assume that a kid is downtown jumping on top of cars, busting windows, beating up white ladies, and their home life is mom is there, stay-at-home mom, dad working, they in $150,000 a lifestyle home, everybody's hunky-dory, everything is great and lovely, and to the God in the sky, but they downtown wrecking stuff. No, I'm going to assume that these kids come from the worst type of scenarios. And what I'm saying is, I agree with Red Pill Manosphere talking points about where we need to correct those things at. But I'm also saying we need to have those conversations when we talk about these situations instead of just demeaning the kids. Now, you didn't do that. This panel wasn't necessarily doing that. But that was my original point, was that a lot of panels is going to talk about this. But you know what they're not going to talk about? They're not going to talk about that 80-year-old man that shot Ralph Y'all in the face. They're not going to talk about that, though. But they're going to talk about this situation. That was my original point. It didn't have anything to do.
Okay, so you need to make a right.
Hold on, Ed, hold
Police
on.
officers. Nobody brought up none of that stuff.
All right, just for the record, Hood Conservative did cover the Ralph Yarl situation. I actually had a Jason Whitlock clip because I was going to break down a lot of stuff that he said on this, but I put the link in the chat too early, and he talked about the Ralph Yarl thing. So I was going to talk about it in response to it.
So it's being covered.
That was going to be covered.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Ed, just wait. Here's the deal. Even when you say that the woman was making $24 an hour, and even if she didn't have a man, and even if she had to work overtime, let's just say an extra 10 hours on top of her 40, that's 50 hours a week. A parent working 50 hours a week still does not excuse horrible behavior from children like that. So even when you break it all down and I accept all of your premises, they still sound pointless to the overall discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm at with it.
Because there's a bunch of kids that don't do it.
So what the? Oh my God, bro.
Bro, listen, for the whole time you've been in common denominator, right? People haven't been understanding you. They haven't been, and it's cool. People don't understand your points. It is what it is, right? But net, this is the type of rhetoric that I'm trying to actually get over to you by saying, hey, 50,000, that's a good amount of money, right? And of course, I know I looked up certain areas like Evanston inside Chicago. You can get $1,050 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. That's a great area. Medium income is $90K, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a good amount of money. I know this. I'm a real estate. I know what I'm doing. I got the math. I got the calculators. I got access to MLS, CoStar. I know the data. So when you tell me,
I think we're taking
Ed, come on, Ed.
I'm just trying to say 50K a lot, right? And let's drop the point. Let's drop the point of, all right, we accept your premises and all this other stuff. But you got to realize this too, bro. I'm coming in. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm saying, hey, this is a situation where she's making a good amount of money, right? Next thing you know, you might talk to her again and you might be able to change her perspective and say, hey, I know you're struggling, but I know a guy who said 50K is a lot and he could help you out and work through the situation, right? And so I don't think talking about Ralph and all this other stuff is the next move, right? You said that people are in this type of situation and they need what? Assistance. They need to figure out some way out. And so what I'm saying is I'll offer that situation out. So if I come along and I say, hey, it's possible and that's a good amount of money, you'd be like, oh, well, this guy might know what he's talking about because he's got his life in order. He got things set up. So with that being said, maybe I'll tell the next person who tells me they make $50,000, go check this guy out. Or, hey, do what this guy said and you might be okay. There's different ways out of your situation. That's all I'm saying. Do you accept that might be something that you could offer those people who are in situations like that? Because you said you know of people like that, right?
Right. So this is
okay, cool.
This is the thing that's bothering me about you saying that, right? Like you just brought up the Evanston thing. Who the fuck wants to commute 2 hours to work? Because the rent.
Bro, I can do downtown too. I just gave you one example.
Wait. Here's the thing. Are you telling me right now that you think a person gonna find a 2-bedroom for $1,000 in downtown Chicago? Yes or no?
Yes, I looked it up.
Okay, you're lying. It's not gonna happen.
Okay.
Nobody is gonna find a 2-bedroom.
I'm not calling you a liar, but you're calling me a liar.
Bro, listen, there's no 2-bedroom apartments downtown Chicago for $1,000.
But you called me a liar.
I'm from here.
I'm on Zillow. I don't care if you're from there. That don't mean you know real estate.
It does
just
mean
because
I know
I'm from
real
a
estate.
place. That means I know all the apartments available in the entire area of the whole city. How does that make sense?
Why are we having a real estate argument?
I mean, for
Why
real,
is this
man.
a real estate argument? This is
All right,
not
never mind,
about
man.
fucking
Never mind.
numbers
Never
or
mind.
real estate.
All right.
So I'm not about to go on another rant.
Hold on. Hood just made a good point. The topic that we talking about all the fuck shit that's going on in Chicago right now with these teenagers running amok. It's not a real estate issue. And that's why at the core, I'm like, a lot of the arguments that were presented were just deflection and derail arguments, because now we having a real estate debate, which is a great discussion to have. Which is a great discussion to have. Obstacles, opportunities. He's owns a lot of industrial real estate and the whole works. Look up the video on it. Just go to the video section, scroll down. You'll see. It's great video, great discussion we had. Great video, great discussion we had. It's a great discussion about real estate. I don't think this is a real estate issue. But
put the link in the
real estate issue. Let me ask you something, Bernard. When you go to don't they try to find out what the root cause of your problem is? Or do they just say, oh, you got a headache? Well, here goes some this, right? They try to find out what the root cause of the problem is. So all I'm saying is this. There's a root cause. When I look at the difference between where my mom stay at, or my son stay at, or my cousins them stay at Naperville, Illinois, when I see the difference, like when you got dads out there, hey, they the coach of the football team, and they at the games, they got their kids involved and stuff, but they also have the resources to do it. All of that stuff costs money.
Yo.
It was he.
All right.
Somebody's moving up into my car. Like, while I'm fucking. That wasn't.
All right. Real quick. I'm seriously trying to get to super chats real quick. I think they put some things in the super chat that will prompt further discussion. Pull up.
Yeah, I got one. Okay. All right.
Pull up the last super chat real quick. I'm gonna get to you, Ed. We're gonna get through this, but pull it up. RM. I didn't read that one. It was yellow. Somebody said something. I didn't even get to the one before that. Hold up. This was the last one. I didn't read. I don't even know. Big Poke Dog in the building. He says, excuse me, but boo this man. He's talking about Lil Podcast. Start bringing them up after this one. Okay. Otis in the building says, complains about grown men on the panel misconstruing what he said. Grown man on the panel misconstruing what another man said. Yeah, that happens. Sertice in the building says, Beans, I don't buy the parents are pro sob story, because actually I already read that one. Thank you, Sir Tice. Do appreciate that. Go to the next one. John Thomas in the building said, the stories of Ralph Yarl shooting, Chicago teen mobs, the Alabama mass shooting are all very important stories to cover. We need to pray for peace. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Hoop Jargon in the building said he led in saying he's misunderstood. He shows why. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Carl Robinson in the building. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
Chamber ass niggas.
Go ahead. Go bring up the next one. Jackie Jack in the building says, coming on people's panel to tell people what they should talk about is strange. Just argue your points. If you think they got it wrong on the topic, just argue your points if you think they got it wrong on the topic.
People are fucking slow, bro. Like this.
All right. On to the next one. Woke Quill in the building. He says, what's your solution for the community? That's broad.
That's kind of what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask, if we accept the premise of everything that's being said in Chicago, what is your prescription specifically? Not no aid, not no assistance. Because technically what the dude is talking about as far as real estate advice could be considered aid and assistance. So what specifically are we talking about as far as a solution, assuming we accept everything that's being said is absolute fact, non-debatable?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, okay. I'll go to the next one. Dusty.
All right, that was a question.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna finish reading the super chat.
Well, we'll come back to that one. Ed, just hold your thought on that question.
Yeah.
Podcast. I mean, and to be fair, that is a complicated question, because when people say, "Well,
that's fair to the super chat," I'd rather the conversation go in that direction.
Yes, no, we can go that route. Now, so I'm gonna read the super chats and give them some time to think, because whenever somebody say, "Well, what's the solution?" when they're talking about a broad problem like what's wrong with the Black community, it's
I could have simplified it. I just wanted.
Okay. All right. Cool.
We'll
We'll go to you. You can simplify it. All right. Dusty Nuts in the building. He says the linear progression with him. A. You said A. Right. Nah, man. Nah. I meant A. All right. Thank you, Dusty Nuts. Jackie Jack.
Slow.
Jackie Jack in the building says he just doesn't want to be pinned down to anything. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Woke Quill in the building says my son destroyed a car because the pressure of bills. The white man needs to cut.
This proves my point.
Prevent that.
Chats like that prove my point.
Go to super. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Dusty Nuts in the building said the book of insolence 2 in 1. Thine so lost in his own rhetoric and logic that his premise had become the chord he has stumbled upon. Hubris and overcommittal due to pride will demonstrate before the public square idiocracy. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Dusty Nuts in the building with another one. He says, okay, 1600, but didn't you say the girl had a husband? We already went over that, but I'm just going to finish reading it. 1600, but didn't you say the girl had a husband? So now you're being selective with the reasoning, and 50K would qualify people for low income apartment in Chicago. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Listen, I get thrown off. I get thrown off by, different places in different economies. It's like some places be seeming like a whole different country to me. When some people be talking about what the rent is in this place versus that place, I never understand it. God. I just know where I'm from. The rent is not that damn high. But Christopher Hutchinson in the building says, I live in Metro Detroit, own multiple homes for rentals. I have places in decent suburbs, 3 bedrooms under 1,200. I live in Michigan as well. I don't live in Detroit. I see a lot of that. I actually see a lot of that. Maybe not suburb.
Yeah, but no, by the way, Bernard ain't shit. He kept this going because all the super chats because people get pissed off. You ain't slick. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a joke.
They definitely facilitate the retards with super chats. That's a fact.
No, it ain't facilitating retards, but when they get tired of the bullshit.
You say stuff about people get insult you, but like you do. You come heavy with insults, man. You come heavy with insults.
So all that insulting me they just did, I shouldn't have nothing to say back. Gotcha.
You kick down the door with you kick.
No, they're really insulting your argument. They're not having insulted you, but apparently you can't tell the difference. But that's fine.
About these people that's super chatting right now, what did I say about any of them?
You called them all retarded.
When did I say that? Just now, right?
You throw out.
See how you want to.
You don't make me do a play-by-play on this conversation.
Exactly.
Dude, do we need an instant replay? Like, dude, we can. You do realize this is all recorded, right?
Was it before or after he read the super chats?
Dude, you came. That's no. After you talking shit about the commenters before you said no. You started doing this shit before too. So now we got to have an accounting of every. So you need me to put the transcript out. So I need to put the transcript out and read. You said this at this minute and second.
I can screenshot my screen right now.
Hold on, real quick. I'm starting to think that it is a serious problem that logical progression of things I don't want to say that your logical progression faculties are not working, but like when you come on and you insult the type of discussions we have, and you basically insult the views of the people that be on my panel and the views of the people in the chat room.
That's a mischaracterization, Bernard. I literally said I wasn't speaking specifically of your channel.
Hold on. Oh my goodness!
I literally said that. Bet me $100 right now. I'll go back and find it. I literally said I'm not speaking specifically.
I want to get to this. I want to get to this solution. All of this design.
Yeah, but dude,
Bernard, bet me $100, bro. I'll go back and find it.
The chat room is responding to what you're saying in response to what we're all saying. And so when you say these people stupid or these people this or these people that, yes, they are included in it, and then they clap back through the super chat, and then you say, I never said nothing about that particular super chatter specifically, but no, you're it's a broader thing. It's like what? Okay. All right. Let me just finish getting thrown. Dusty Nuts in the building says, stop complaining about what why Fox do with they institutions. Well, with white folks do. See, come on, y'all be killing me. What white folks do with their institutions, build your ship. Christian it, okay, and be the captain of your own. People be whining. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Shout out to you, Dusty Nuts. Do appreciate your support. Sir Tyson in the building says, "Wow, I read at an 8th grade level, but think I'm entitled to more than 50K. Why? Stop it." He's saying 50K is better than average, not the end goal. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Woke Quill in the building says, so women have to work equals kids can ruin a city. Let's keep it moving. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Dusty Nuts in the building again. He says, book of fallacies 1-in-1 anecdotal situations to articulate a moot point and thus a false equivalency. Stay linear. Yo, you insolent idiot. On to the next one. Dusty Nuts in the building again says, book of fallacies 1 and 2. Using emotion and or a red herring combined with slippery slope. Checkmate. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Jeb in the building said Ed Anderson is right. I don't know about what specifically, but thank you. That's enough in the building. He says the muses amuse when they allude and then thus therefore conclude with excuses. Wow, Dusty Nuts is a spoken word philosopher. Thank you.
Created.
All right, go ahead, Ed.
No, I mean, I'm gonna take a different approach because we're doing all these like dick measuring contests with the semantics. My question is, if we accept, I'm not asking nobody for no comprehensive like mayoral plan to solve world hunger, but if we're talking about the solution is to render aid and assistance, what is these aids and what is assistance? What does that look like? That's what I want to talk about because all I hear is the conversation talk about we're not having. Which truth be told, the pro-blacks are having this conversation as far as what about the kids. But at the end of the day, when I grew up, and I'm only 36, I'm not that old. This ain't like single motherhood is not a new phenomenon now. It's not. It's been around for quite a couple of generations. Like we're on 3rd generation, so it's not like all of this running around blowing stuff up. So my point is, accept everything is fact. What are some prescriptions and ideas to resolve this issue? Because I hear everything being talked about income. So what should we put together? Universal basic income? What are we talking about?
Well, since he paused and hesitated, I just want to say anybody who's in the camp that 50,000 is not is not enough for somebody to survive on. They're basically they're fully advocating for universal basic income. Like you have to be a full-blown socialist to get to the point where you say,
well, it is a socialist move, but universal basic income is really predicated on more so you're not it's more like what welfare is pretty much designed to, rather than making people pay more through the minimum wage, that's like another solution, and it's designed to deal with automation, which is coming regardless of people like it or not.
Yeah.
But the thing about, my first thing is to say, if you can't afford to live there, to move and create more and go somewhere else. That's my first thing. And this is why a lot of people move from New York to North Carolina, and why, people move from California to Phoenix, Arizona / Las Vegas, where, by the way, Las Vegas has a lot of warehouse stuff. And then this is where you having skills that allow you to do that matters. As far as, but my point is if we're going to talk about what you're going to do in Chicago to deal with this stuff, what are these actual solutions? Because because all I hear is you empathize with the fact that they breaking shit. And if there's no solution that even be presented, that's going to run out no matter how empathetic somebody is going to be. Eventually, they're going to be like, I'm tired of this shit.
Okay.
Because they won't see an end to it.
All right, I wanted to get off of the the cost of rent discussion, but Kristen Hutchinson did come up here. He owns a lot of real estate in Detroit, and he was going to speak on the cost of rent and blah blah blah. So I guess we'll let him.
I actually wasn't going to talk about that. I was actually out in Detroit on Friday night, and there was a shooting probably about 600 feet from where I was at, and it was a bunch of kids out running around, and they had a press conference this week. Said that they're not going to allow kids downtown after a certain time because there's too many kids running around. And it was like, I remember I was going into a nightclub at midnight.
Nope, that's black codes in sundown town. They can't do that.
Well, there's no reason for 15-year-old kids to be running around.
No, they can't do it just to black kids, but they can definitely put a curfew on certain ages. It's called a curfew.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, there's no reason. I was going into a nightclub at midnight, and
This is what being a minor is.
And I literally saw like kids who could have been older than 15 years old running around on the street in Greektown. Greektown is like where the casino is and a bunch of restaurants. That's no place for a kid to be running around like at 11 o'clock midnight. And the thing is, there's no neighborhoods within there's not even like a school within like 3 miles of that area. So they came from a significant. I mean, there is a neighborhood like 2.5 miles away, but there's not even that many kids who live over there. So I see them get off the bus when I used to work downtown or live closer. You could see them get off the bus like in the middle of the day, and they're just down there hanging out, and they cause problems. But I don't know if they're the ones shooting. But either way,
I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. Hey, Bernard, can you give me a second? I got one of my homies online real quick. Hey, Tig, you still doing real estate in Chicago, right? Okay. Would you say, from your opinion, as a person who's doing real estate in Chicago, would you say that there's any possible way for a person to get a 2-bedroom apartment downtown Chicago for $1,000 a month?
Why do average people need to live downtown?
Stop
the cap. Stop the cap.
I got somebody.
This is an irrelevant argument.
Real quick.
Let's assume you're right. Let's have a conversation based on the fact that you're right. You can't. Now what?
I got him on a call. Can you give me a second? Go ahead, bro. Okay, I'm gonna hit you back, G. No.
Like I said, let's assume you're right and you can't. Okay. Now what?
First of all, why does someone who makes $50,000 need to live in prime real estate?
See how y'all conflating? That wasn't the point.
No.
That was directed at the brother.
No, there is a point.
No, he don't want to have the solution conversation.
$4,000.
No, there is a point. First of all, in downtown areas and prime real estate areas, there's not even schools like that in most major cities. That's first thing. Second thing is the jobs that pay typically downtown, those are not the jobs they're going to be working. They're be working jobs. They're typically low.
You're not listening. The reason why I had my friend who's in real estate in Chicago, the reason why I called him was to directly respond to the other brother's statement that you can get a 2-bedroom apartment in downtown Chicago for $1,000.
Guess what?
Okay, cool. You're right. You won the argument. You won the argument. Now what? Back to the solution. That doesn't change. That doesn't change anything.
Why wasn't you saying that to him when he was just?
No, I am saying that to them now. Like now what? Like now what we're gonna do? Because the truth is, all that does is that makes it even more important that we have these solutions. So what you gonna talk about? That's actually a good idea.
What your name is again, bro? Because I want to address you respectfully.
What my name is?
Yeah, what your name is? I'm speaking that way on intentional. What your name is?
My name is Edward.
Ed?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I want to address you respectfully, bro. So, Ed, to answer the question that you asked earlier, what my solution is, y'all already have them. I already stated that I agree with 90% of the solutions that come out of Manosphere.
So humor me. Give me an example, because I don't know that means you know what our solutions are.
So I'm specifically right now thinking about the nuclear families.
That doesn't fix the right now problem. That doesn't fix the kids breaking shit now.
Really?
No, it doesn't fix the kids. It doesn't fix the kids that ain't got that.
No, I'm not saying really.
So because that's what I was saying. So the bitch needs to find a man.
Because that's not what you asked. You didn't ask about kids breaking stuff. You asked what's the solution about the community.
No, that's what somebody asked in the chat. No, that's what somebody asked in the super chat. That's not what I said. I said, what's the solution in the city? That's why talked about a curfew.
There's no such thing as an overnight fix. There's none.
A curfew voted in. That fixes breaking shit.
Really?
You the one talking about assistance. Like, so my point
Who
is,
said
like I
anything
said,
about
how do you
assistance?
solve that?
Bro, why do you
Dude, I
niggas
get it.
keep
You don't
saying stuff
know.
that I said that I didn't say? Who said anything about assistance, bro? I never brought that up. What are you
I
talking
heard
about?
out of your okay. So now I'm at don't fucking say what our red pill solutions are, because you arguing what the fuck we saying. Dude, you said the nuclear family. That has to be created in a long-term situation. As far as the topic is these kids
Bro, is
fucking
that hard for you
get
to
up.
admit that you wrong? Bro, you wrong, bro.
Wait.
You specifically
Yo, can
laid
somebody
out a
get the
whole
fuck?
long
Can
question
somebody
about
else get the
fixing
fuck
the
up in
community
here?
out when the
This
question
nigga
came
is
up
like,
on the screen.
wow,
You
man.
didn't say anything
Dude,
about
you
the
doing
kids stand up
everything
stuff.
you can
And
to
I
not
just said
answer my
there is
fucking
no, I
question.
literally just said there is no overnight fix.
Well,
There is none.
check this out.
And then you
A
just said,
curfew.
Hold on, Dirty.
That is literally an overnight fix.
So what you're saying is that when you put in a curfew, that's gonna stop kids from rebelling. Curfew is going to stop
That's gonna
rebelling.
stop kids from breaking shit downtown.
Bro, what is wrong with you?
Wait a
That's what
minute.
the
Come on,
topic is
listen.
on.
It's not gonna stop them. It's just gonna get
Yeah,
them
it does.
arrested.
Actually, it does. No, it does. Actually,
does.
It does. They what they
No, I mean, well, if they choose,
It mitigates.
if they choose to go downtown
Mitigate.
anyway, knowing
Wait a
it's a
minute.
curfew, then it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah, I
The
agree with you.
wait, come on,
I agree
everybody
with you.
stop. Everybody stop. But we can agree to
agree with you
agree.
on that part.
The curfew problem is an immediate seal,
Mitigation.
plug the hole, seal the hole problem. That with far as stopping kids from rebelling, okay, that's a cultural problem that can possibly, that could take more time. I'm not even gonna put a number on it. It could take more time. But far as just sealing the hole, yeah. Curfew
So
does
the
seal the hole.
when you say the whole, you specifically mean
I'm
stopping
talking about the kids
from
out there
coming
running around
downtown.
vandalizing shit and jumping people for no reason. I'm talking about that. Get rid of the curfew. Get rid of the curfew so they just can't click up at night and do stupid shit.
Because
curfew.
they feel comfortable going downtown and jumping on tourists and jumping on people that they perceive ain't going to do anything, but they're not going to do it in their own neighborhood where they know what time it is. Because that's how it is here in Detroit. They're not.
Can I say something? Can I say something, man?
Yeah.
Because I'm out here in Chicago. Check this out. And it's not a real estate problem because I want to stay in Presidential Towers right by Navy Pier until I found out they took Section 8 all of a sudden. And I was like, fuck Presidential Towers. Look, check this out. What it is simply this. This is the media covering the Magnificent Mile for things that these kids have been doing for the past 10 years. This is me talking to my little mentees, and they telling me they can't go to Ford City Mall without adult supervision. And this was in 2014 because they were meeting up. Different schools were meeting up at the mall to have these flash fights. They're not really flash dances, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This is them going on 31st Street back in the day, 31st and 35th Street Beach. And we used to have to bring poles with us because these little dudes was walking across the bridge dealing with grown people that they had no idea used to be them. It is a cultural problem, but the culture itself is based on some Chief Keefness, if that's a thing.
Yeah, I get you.
You can't, it is a Keisha problem, but at this point, it's becoming a national trend. There is no overnight solution. Curfew not going to work because these kids don't respect curfew. And the police already said that they're not, because curfew laws are already on the books. When I was a kid, we used to go to the rink to go roller skating. And the rink let out at midnight, but curfew was 10:30, and we 16 years old, and truant officers, or whatever you call them, was dropping us off at the house, making our parents sign notes saying that we under their jurisdiction. The laws are already on the books. Police aren't going to enforce a curfew law in Chicago.
But this is what typically happens. I'm going to say this what happens here in Detroit, and I'm familiar with what happens in like St. Louis because I spent summers there. That when you have the curfew laws, okay, that what they typically do is they keep. What the reason for the curfew laws are typically because they do not want crime happening around tourists and people going into entertainment districts who are spending money, and then you have people coming in and causing problems with fights and different things like that. So what they do is they do not allow them into those zones, and because those are the popular places, because there's other things for them to do that do not involve money, they can just walk up and down the street and hang out. That keeps them away, and that drives down the crime. Because see, that's what it is. They just need somewhere to hang out. And so, I'm just saying that the two cities that I am very familiar with, that is typically how it works. They keep the kids away from the quote unquote free areas where they can just hang out and not have to spend any money, because in entertainment districts, you can just walk around and hang out and do everything. And then what happens is they get into it with the tourist or with people coming into town who are spending money, and they cause problems. And so what they do is they do not allow them into those areas. And so then it cuts down on the problems, because again, if they're out in their neighborhood, if they're out on 7 Mile and Hoover, okay, all they're doing is walk around their neighborhood here in Detroit. But if they come downtown, they then get into what happens is some 15-year-old gets in an argument with another 15-year-olds about the bags are fatter in their neighborhood than in their neighborhood, and then they start fighting, and then someone pulls a gun and shoots somebody. I actually saw a fight like that happened 15 years ago.
Bro, hold on real quick, bro. So that's what I said when the other guy first asked me, first mentioned the curfew. I said that. I said, so what is the point of the curfew? Is just to simply keep the kids from downtown, because that's the only thing that it would be able to do. It would be no different than when they was doing the rioting, right? Well, where was all the cops at? Downtown. They wasn't in the neighborhoods. They wasn't stopping it from tearing up the neighborhoods. They were just stopping it from tearing up downtown.
But they typically don't riot. They typically don't riot in their neighborhoods.
Okay,
typically they don't.
Okay, those are two totally separate things, but you can interrelate them if you want to with the Summer of Love, as Little Big Nate calls it. Okay, here's the thing. Number one, I've been to Detroit several times. There's nothing on Jefferson Avenue for them to tear up unless they're in Belle Isle. So I don't even care about Belle Isle. Second of all, though, as far as Chicago goes, Chicago used to have a kill zone. That's what the police used to call it. If you come downtown, there will be no crime tolerated. It was a zero tolerance policy.
Most cities have that.
You know what I'm saying? In River North or in Inglewood or, Gresham, but you can't come downtown with it. That was lifted with the two thoughts with Kim Fox and Lori Lightfoot, right? So now the kids, since the Summer of Love, have felt really comfortable coming downtown. As far as having leisure, like recreational things for kids to do, the kids mess up the recreational things. That's why they started taking basketball rims off the parks. That's why they put a time limit at park districts.
Mm-hmm.
They're just horrible kids, and the kids aren't even necessarily bad. They're just rambunctious, but they don't have a way to funnel it because they raised by Keisha. You can't talk to Keisha kids. I've had to fight at Keisha because I tried to teach her kid how to ride a bike. She's like, you ain't got to teach my kid nothing. I'm like, this little nigga falling. Like, they're just horrible. Chicago just has horrible people, like horrible women. Actually, the men ain't even that bad. You go anywhere in the nation, Chicago and Detroit dudes are the coolest dudes you'll ever meet outside of Chicago and Detroit. The places are toxic because you have all these liberal rules, so you can't take your toddler to aisle 5 and discipline her and discipline the kids. The kids are okay. Here's one. There's a mall in Naperville that had a shooting in it last summer, and just on some small world stuff, I found out that the shooting involved a friend of mine's son. A dude was following his friends around the mall, decided to clout chase and pull a pistol on them for Instagram. And my friend's son's friend had a pistol too and aired him out in the mall. Saved 4 other people's lives. You know what I'm saying? At the time, you can't regulate poor behavior in children overnight. You just can't. You're mixing poor parenting with gang culture, with like the gang culture out here now. They got little shorties out here to get in the gang. You got to shoot somebody, like random person.
Oh, that's been like that. They were doing that when I was a kid.
Right.
They were doing that. They were doing that in '91. They've been doing that.
So
yeah.
It's a different thing. You know what I'm saying? You mixing, you convoluting, and you calling it real estate. There was nothing wrong. Cabrini Green was in the second most expensive land in Chicago. They didn't keep that up. That's why now it's beautiful. They tore down the projects. It's beautiful. They got a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's. You know what I'm saying? Inglewood used to be all white into Great White Flight. You know what I'm saying? Affordable homes for 2-parent households. Like, it's not a real estate problem. It's a Keisha problem because Keisha can't raise no kids. Keisha's horrible at raising herself. But you can't do it. You can't unless you can regulate parenting. The solution would be to give fathers primary custody, and I bet Keisha know who to sleep with then. But they're not gonna do that.
Well, you right. I'm sorry, but you right. You right. At the same time, I think I don't want to say you're wrong because I don't want to start an argument. But it's like these situations, bro. They don't be single. It don't be like a single thing that you could point to. It's two things can be true at the same time, right? It's multi-phased as far as problems go. When you say it's not a real estate problem, yeah, it's not founded in real estate problems, but the real estate, it is a problem. Because what I can tell you is I can take you to where people like where my mama lived, bro. It's 84% black. They ain't out there shooting, killing, selling drugs, all that other stuff. You ain't got graffiti and garbage all over the place. And you know why? Because they own it. Okay. There ain't no whole bunch of apartment complexes. It's a whole bunch of, it's 95% houses. So they own it. They take care of it. It's theirs. That's the difference. It's kids and it's schools out here, and they ain't doing all that crazy stuff out here. And it's because they own it. So that's where the real estate kind of thing does kind of become a problem.
That's ownership. Okay.
No, because it sounds like you. I mean, okay. The way I interpret that is middle class blacks behave better than lower class blacks.
Even that's a cultural problem. That's a cultural thing that even led to the ownership in the first place.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. Like people, here's the thing. The thing is, this is why folks just say F it, and the ones that can leave do leave. So what you're left with this hyper concentration of bullshit that when it gets to a certain level, they just control alt delete that shit. And when I say delete, I'm talking about remove Caprini Green, remove all of this stuff, and then make the shit so hospitable that motherfuckers gotta leave or they're gonna get moved the fuck out. That's how that works in a lot of different areas, because a lot of it is like real estate, a lot of different stuff going on as far as people that want to develop this shit, do certain stuff, bring other people in. And the thing is, we're past the empathy stage. We're past this, well, you got to understand. No, we don't. It's okay, how does this shit need to get fixed? Because because the truth is, Keishas are not going to be regulated. And that's really what the problem is. You got literally crazy kids raising crazy kids at this point. They can't be told, the women can't be told shit. That's why you see them running cars in and shit, wanting to shoot motherfuckers over a biscuit and shit like that. I'm talking about the grown-ups because they can't be regulated. And by the way, that's why a lot of them don't have men. So when they talk about the economic side of it, they're not even, so, and a lot of this is a form of antisocial behavior. It's just nobody's allowed to call it antisocial behavior when it's kids. I mean, not kids, when it's women. When it's women, they're just lashing out. We need to understand all this other shit. No, we don't. Because the truth is, we're all black. We all comprehend this stuff. It's not like we don't know. We don't understand. A lot of us have lived it. Like, so it's not. So all this explaining, we're not white. We don't have this. Well, this is just a world we don't live. Bullshit. I was born in Compton, California in '86. A lot of us, we know. But at the same time, it gets to the point where it's almost sounding like we need to save motherfuckers. And most motherfuckers cannot be saved. They can't. And that's also a red pill talking point too, which is why it's save yourself. And that includes women too.
Right.
So, and then it's like, what about the kids? What about them? The reality is, if they're going to be out of control like that, essentially what they're saying is, I'm going to use my status as a minor in order to do anything and everything. It's just like in California with the damn petty crime shit, where they just start robbing Walmarts, but because they're doing it under certain levels, it's like they can't do nothing. Yo, understand that when they want to respond to that shit, they're going to respond, and niggas need to stop crying racism if they choose to fix it the way they going to fix it. Because it's not like that just came out of nowhere. Anyway,
and you know where the equivalent is, Ed, of white folks that do that in the trailer park.
In the trailer park,
and they leave them over there where they at.
And they regulate their ass there. And I can tell you.
Exactly, but we try to, let's mix it together. Let's make that.
We gonna try to do it.
Classism doesn't exist in Black America like that,
and it's just like ridiculous.
Okay, here's the problem.
I was gonna say, well, can I make my point?
Let's let opportunities get it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Doug.
All I was gonna say is this, bro. The problem is that 90% of the things you blame on white supremacy is Keisha. Y'all just never want to check Keisha. Y'all will get passports to run from Keisha. Y'all will move to better neighborhoods to leave Keisha.
How do you check? How do you check Keisha? Give me an example of checking Keisha.
Damn right, I'm gonna leave.
Okay,
because verbally ain't it. Verbally ain't checking. You're not gonna check a woman verbally. So how do you check Keisha?
No, I keep yelling Alpha, but listen what I'm saying, bro. Listen what I'm saying. When you talk about anything town, Greek town, Chinatown, you know what I'm saying? Little Mexico. When you talk about those areas are built on a culture that's built on a tradition that's built by men. When you talk about the neighborhoods where colors are at, everybody talk about housing and all these renters are transient residents. That's why they don't vote for alderman. They don't know who their alderman is, even though they're the direct line to community of. The thing is, when you don't check, and you can check girls, you check girls all the time.
You can explain it. You're not gonna walk past that because we all need to be clear. The audience, how do you check? Because dudes should not be allowed to say that unless they get specific. Damn that. Because when I hear check, I hear bounce their head off the wall. That's what I hear. And I'm not going to jail for no bitch. So what does that mean?
Hey, the intro to my show is whippings, timeouts, take the allowance. Because I think they all toddlers.
Why are you not answering it's a simple question, not a gotcha question.
It is a cultural question that men have to be on a uniform behavioral pattern. Black men don't have standards.
You were talking from an individual standpoint. How does the individual man check a black woman?
No individual.
Other than leaving.
Okay, listen. No individual. An individual man can check his household, but no individual man.
That's not even true. That's not even true.
Collectively, men have.
If a woman calls the police, who's more likely to be leaving?
I'm sorry, you said what?
If a woman calls the police, even if he owns the key, who's more likely to be told to go get some cool air and come back in 24 hours? It ain't go, and that's true in Chicago too. I know it ain't. Like, dude, they can't even check in their own household. So, like, this is important because when dudes say, because it's not the first time I've heard that. I shout out to Low Cats about crack the whip. I'm like, what does that mean? Now I know what it means. I know how to answer it. But it's interesting how people just say that and act like we all just supposed to understand it when nobody never explains it.
I can explain it at work.
Go ahead.
Basically, it means to carry yourself in a way that's so alpha that she has no choice but to obey.
Good luck.
Which that only works for a certain amount of, that's what they mean, but that only works until they don't. Because when they have this is what checking means. In order to check a woman, you have to have something a woman is not willing to lose, and they can't en route you to get it. So some dudes will check a woman with dick, as far as withholding dick. Some dudes will check a woman with money if she can't get it nowhere else. But see, they'll usually find ways to try to en route you if that's a problem. They are real quick to point that off. But the main way to check a woman is abandonment. The greatest power that a man has is the power of.
Your woman is not in check is because you are not alpha enough.
Okay, I understand. Look, game changer. I get that.
Come on,
what you're not getting.
Game changer.
Is that
I'm not being sarcastic right now. I'm not. And stop smiling, because I'm being dead ass serious.
No.
Because you let him off the hook when you do that.
All right. Hold on.
Okay, understand that. Everything that Keisha does is
you are letting it. Oh my God, man! You are the statement.
Game changer. Okay, all right.
How not alpha you are. Okay, her fake hair is a.
All right, hold on. I just muted both of y'all because Ed is making a good point because he's trying to hold dirty folks' feet to the fire, and Game Changer is mocking dirty folks, and I get the mocking, but let's Ed, I'll let you finish. Even though Game Changer, after they finish, your points are the ones that's going to stand because I think you got it right. But go ahead, Ed. Go ahead and hold his feet to the
No,
fire.
that's what Game Changer is saying, but and I'm about to bounce out, so other people have some room. But my point is, it's not just you. I hear that all the time. You just need to check her with game. No, the only thing you can do is have leverage over her, which is something she don't want to lose. And usually, the type of leverage now that these sticks want is out of people's containment. The only thing you can do is abandon that female. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. And I don't have kids, so I'm not gonna tell dudes. Corey Holcomb will say "fuck you" and that baby, and he got kids. So I'll charge that to Corey Holcomb. But dudes have to occupy a posture, especially if they're not connected to a woman, kids. Where as soon as the chicks start acting up, you just ghost. Because the only alternative is knock their ass out, and you're gonna go to jail. The only legal way to do that is to bounce, and that's what y'all know it is. Because let me be very clear here: you sitting there checking her verbally don't mean shit. And if it does work, niggas say, yeah, that shit work. That means she believes you will knock her ass out. That's why, in her mind, even if you ain't done it. It's a credible thing in her instincts that you will bounce her off the wall if she really responds. And usually when that works is because she done seen you book the living dog shit out of another dude. And then, so when niggas say that, that's the only time I really see that work. So they see you, what you can do to another man, so they assume. But even then, you got a lot of gynocentric enforcers where they're bitch made when it comes to their girl. But when it comes to dudes, they willing not to do it out for nothing. But when it comes to their girl, they don't do that. And eventually women, especially these Z's and these millennials, they picked up on that. So usually they don't got to know you for a long period of time. They kind of know how you are. So at the end, yeah. But like I said, check the only way to check it.
That's what I'm saying when I say maintain your alphaness. When was
No,
the last
I
time
understood that, but it got to the point where you want to go
if
slide
you're
off
not
of that.
knocking a nigga out every 2 to 3 months, that shit's on you, okay?
Well, my thing is, why to do it without threatening to go to jail? So my question is, so hold on, who disagrees? Hold on, who disagrees with my assessment of what I just said and why?
I agree with what you're saying.
I know not you, Game Changer. I'm talking about everybody else because you kind of came into it.
I'm saying that you're not knocking enough niggas out at work. That's what I'm saying. And that shit.
Dude, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm probably because I'm getting tired. This always comes up, like with this check shit. If we just check Keisha's. No, a nigga need a YouTube video. When am I gonna get a YouTube short about how to check a Keisha? All these alpha niggas show me. If I'm beta, show me how to do it. I want to learn.
Okay.
Show me.
I'll put it like this. The only thing you can do, you can verbally check her and she can choose to stay and follow what you're saying, or she could choose to give you hell and then you could choose to leave. Those are the options.
Three. There is option three.
My solution.
You guys forgot option three. If your wife is foreign, you threaten to deport her.
No. Here's my thing. I think it's the opposite. And it kind of leans toward the lever, but it goes with the bill with the bros. One thing that women hate is men ignoring them. They got whole shows and panels about how women feel ostracized at work because men don't talk to them. When men build something for men, women will try to come and invade your spot because that's what they are. And then you say these are the rules in tow. What you guys are doing is you keep including the girl in the beginning stages. Girls ain't builders. I know my alderman. I know my state reps.
Shit, and neither is the men out here.
You're talking around it. At the end of the day,
no, I'm not even talking around it. Like, look, women lean on the system a lot. They lean on police. They lean on voucher programs. They lean on social services. They lean on a lot of stuff a lot. If you ask me, Judge Clarence Thomas had it right when he was like, get rid of AA. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of, like, Clarence Thomas was really on something, and black people was like, oh, no, because he got a white wife, because y'all judge our manhood based on women. But Clarence was trying to tell you, like, yo, these black women must be stopped. You know what I'm saying? It's hurting black men to allow women, white and black, to have the benefits that were for men. Get rid of the benefits, let men stand on their own. Since men got to stand on their own anyway. Clarence was like, yo, get rid of what they call in Chicago,
transfer payments. Get rid of transfer payments.
Yeah, in Chicago they call them hub zones, but I think Trump called them opportunity zones. man, make the stipends for opportunity zones. This.
All right, now you're taking it to the politics. But first, you was talking about checking Keisha. Now
No,
you're getting into the political.
No. What I
You're
said,
checking
I'm addressing what
all
Amy
that.
said.
Hold on, wait, real quick. All that political is not in place right now, which means you technically can't check her unless she's willing to submit
Okay.
to whatever it is you're checking her
Okay,
about.
so the grassroots,
And you checking her, you checking her, and you paying rent. Go ahead.
No,
that's see, y'all don't understand. Y'all
when
do not
girls try to
understand.
join different groups of men that they find as suitable men with the logo, they do what the men tell them to do.
True.
I don't care what
I
sorority group they want to be in.
No, y'all don't understand. So say, because I was in this situation right years ago, right? I was with this fat obnoxious bitch, and then I was like, hey, why don't you lose some weight and behave? And she was like, who's your alderman? And I didn't know. So then I had to actually go out and research and find out who my alderman is, and she got slim and started to behave. So you got to understand that this is how a bitch think. The reason why y'all bitches are fat and ugly is because y'all don't know who your alderman is.
Quit being sarcastic. Look.
I can't.
I know, right? Look, on a macro and a micro level, women react to men's actions. I think that black men are the most reactive group of men. They're not really proactive. We great at identifying problems, horrible at creating the solutions. You know what I'm saying? And people say, what's the solution? You say,
The
okay,
solution
this
is
is part of
know
the
your
solution.
alderman.
They're like, yo, that solution ain't gonna work. All right. But
There are only
it's
micro
what's-
solutions to this. For example, I have a micro solution. My girl, for whatever reason, I'm not going to say just because I'm so alpha enough, but for whatever reason, she really, 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 really like me, and she do.
Do you
what
know
I
who
say.
your alderman is,
That's
Bernard?
hell no. But so that's a micro
Don't let her
solution.
know that you don't know who your alderman is, or she'll get out of line.
Right. But on the macro scale in the Western world, there is no macro solution. Now, men could move different and tolerate less, and that moving different and tolerate less. And this was sort of what Dirty Folks was getting to, and I understood what he was saying. If men, particularly, let's just say black men as a collective group all operated in a certain way, the women would have no choice but to either form around that, or they would just continue their shit, and then it'll just be it just is what it is. More men may, be passporting up out of here. That's a perfectly fine solution as well. That's a perfectly fine solution as well. So the only thing, so again, there's micro solutions, there's micro solutions, and then there's macro solutions. The macro solutions is a long uphill, possibly generational fight, just like how long did it take for gay people to finally get gay marriage? We talking about the laws that we would like to see changed. Oh man, for all that to take place, to be truly in a position of power in the situation where she just can't get out and screw shit over when she's ready to. Yeah, that's a long uphill political fight. So the only thing we could really talk about is micro solutions. That's why Game Changer sarcasm is right when they're basically saying, hey, just be alpha enough or this or that or blah 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 blah. Then yeah, I mean that's kind of what they're saying. And I could play that game too and say I'm just so alpha, my woman listen to what I say, but no, I just I happen to find a good chick that like to listen to me. She could have been hell on wheels for the last dude, but just knowing what I know about her personality, I tend to think she operate the way I tend to think that's her actual personality. But either way it go, that you just got to check your woman. That technically don't work in this environment. It technically don't work. It works individually in certain situations. That's where I just end that one. I don't know if anybody else got anything to say about that, but that's where I'm at with that. Shout out to hold on while we got everybody take a breath and take a second to breathe. JC Ennis, thank you for the $10 cash app. Do appreciate that. Do appreciate everybody who's supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. I started this stream, thought I was going to be doing a quick one today, but it's turned into a doozy. Maurice in the building says his arguments will work on a female panel. Agreed. Archie Lucky 7 in the building says, of course 50K is not good enough for someone who is in student loan debt. That is why most of these women want 100K men. Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that. JBK2K69. JB2K69. And the builder says, for the record, I was there when the shot went off and the crowd ran from the Walgreens. Also, I lived in Clark and Elm in a 900 sublet 2-bedroom. Done. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Sir Ty's in the building. He says, if your DA, Kim Fox, does not prosecute or drop charges for homicide, assault, etc., what makes you think they will for curfew violations? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Osworld123 in the building with the $20 super chat. Osworld123 in the building with the $20 super chat. Thank you for that. Black Merlin in the building says Edward is right on this one. Game changer. I disagree. Even the most game changer was trolling and being sarcastic. Even the most alpha men get tested by a woman. A woman will always test boundaries. Yeah, what that comes down to, there's a percentage of people that say they basically make those arguments, even though they don't word it that way, that all problems will be solved. Just be alpha enough. Just be able to check that woman. And it's truth in that. If a chick really feeling you, if she really like you, and she really rock with you, it's some truth in that. But the fact of the matter is, from a structural standpoint, she's always able to part ways and possibly take a bit with her when she leaves, depending on what you've built. Therefore, so it's always a situation. But Poindexter Hill turn in the building says ninjas really think they going to check Keisha. Keisha got the U.S. government backing her. That's sort of the point that I was making. Poindexter. Just leave and create a new community. The community is finished. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody who supports the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you.
Well, I want to respond to Poindexter's.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically,
I gotta step away for a second. Yeah, behave yourselves.
Okay. So yeah, I will. So he definitely has a point that the women have the U.S. government backing them, and what you as a black man need to do is be more alpha than the U.S. government. Is essentially what you have to do in order to get her in line.
I'm okay. I just hurt my leg. No big deal.
Damn, you old.
Even yeah, I know. It's like I was sitting in one spot for a long time, and like when I moved my leg, I felt yeah. I'm okay. You can continue talking.
No. I said my piece. I mean, essentially, what black men have to do is we have to be more alpha than the U.S. government is essentially what we have to do. When you look at other communities, the Hispanic, and primarily the Asian community, essentially what they do, the reason why their women are in line and ours aren't, is because they out alpha the U.S. government. Is essentially what's going on. So I think that a lot of the problems that we have can be solved by alpha-ing ourselves. I mean, basically, I think a lot of brothers see themselves as, the beta lion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the reason why I keep all of my invisible women in line is because I am a true alpha.
So basically, I just think we're going to keep on having what's happening in particularly in these major cities because of you have several things happening. You have a lot of empty storefronts in a lot of downtowns. So what's happening is it just creates an environment where the kids can come downtown, or people who just want to come hang out will come into these hot zones, hot areas, these highly popular areas, and things get going the way they are. And the only thing the police can do in the short term is have a lot of police presence, keep them out of the area, push them back into the neighborhoods. And frankly, when they're in the neighborhoods, they're not going to do a lot of the stuff that they're doing because let's get real. What happens with these kids are thinking, or what a lot of these people think when they get into these areas, are that they view the people they're interacting with might be weaker or more vulnerable, and so they look at it, they can physically intimidate them in some sort of way. I mean, that's what really that they're thinking about. These, some kids who or some younger people, not just kids, but they get into these areas and they look at it as, oh, some 40-year-old guy who's down there with his girlfriend, just for the night to go to the casino or go to a nice dinner. They look at they can just jump up and do something to him, and they're not going to do anything because it's 3 of them and there's 1 of him, and that's what they're doing. And the best thing the police can do is just kind of have a lot of presence, and if they're not supposed to be down there, push them away. That's all you can do at this point in the short term.
Well, actually, that's not all you can do at this point, Charles. Essentially, what you can do is whip all their asses. You see, that's the problem. It's beta thinking, because in the situation that you're talking about, you allowed, in the eyes of your woman, you allowed those 3 young men to be to out alpha you. You see, in the Lions, they don't play that. Those are what's called renegades. What you're supposed to do, and this is how you lose control in the eyes of your woman, you're supposed to beat all their asses.
Yeah, that's always an option too, right? But
yeah, exactly.
But
and that's how you take back the community.
That's always an option, but if you can't, you don't want to shoot one of them because that causes a whole other set of problems.
No, I mean, okay. See, here's the thing, and brothers need to truly understand this. The way to end black on black violence is to attack young black men. Like, you got to do that, and that is how you get the community back, and that is how you end all of this violence. Do you see where I'm going with this, brother?
I know you're trolling. It's hard to take it. Anyway.
Well, I don't see how, because it is our fault. Do you agree with that? Like, what? The behavior of people not under your control is your fault. Do you understand that?
The behavior of people not under your control is your fault. If you want to say about a social commentary, there might be something to it, but directly on the day-to-day, no.
Wait a minute. Okay, so this is where you're losing me. So say there's a woman out there, right? She's obnoxious. She's raising her kids improperly, and she's living in the ghetto, and that kid is becoming a nuisance to society. Now, that's not your kid, but it is your responsibility. And were you more responsible, she wouldn't be doing that, and that kid would not be behaving that way.
Again, there is so when we start talking about how these situations arise, there is a larger social context which you have to be sensitive to, but there's an issue of the people still have a responsibility themselves to behave like they are within civilized society. So
why does she have to be responsible for herself when you're the man? You're supposed to be the man of the relationship, right?
Well, yeah, but people still have to be they still have to be responsible for their behavior.
So. No. Women are not responsible for their behavior because you're a man. They're not responsible, or they're not accountable for their behavior. Everything they do is your fault, is what I'm saying. You see, here's the thing, Charles. The other day,
this is Christian. This isn't Charles. This is Christian.
Oh, Christian, my bad.
You can't tell my voice after all this time.
No. Here's the thing, Christian. So the other day, I seen a woman throwing pancakes at IHOP, and I was like, "Damn, Christian, how you gonna allow this shit to happen?" So you need to be more alpha in order to control this.
So what's my position within the IHOP structure? Am I just a patron, or am I the manager?
No. You are a person that don't go to IHOP. You don't even have to go to IHOP. You are a black man, and this is a black woman throwing pancakes at IHOP. Well, now, that's on you. You need to do something about that.
Oh, well, I haven't been to I don't even know where IHOP is.
All right, I'm looking at the chat, and I'm hearing people say, I'm seeing somebody say, Bernard, no better than to leave when a game changer is here. Did something happen?
No,
we're filling the airtime. He's being trolly. That's all. I'm
Okay.
just entertaining it so we don't have dead air.
Yeah, game changer. Your trolling is like your trolling is hit or miss. Sometimes I love it, but you look like you cleared the room. It was like 315 people in
Oh,
here
really?
when I
With the
left.
Yeah,
trolling?
it's like he farted
Well,
in
no,
the
I
elevator.
came up to troll Ed
It's
because
like he farted in the elevator. That's
No,
what it was like.
you wasn't trolling Ed. You were trolling hood conservative. I mean, not hood conservative, but dirty folks. And it was
no,
a good troll.
I was
But
trolling Ed because Ed initially believes my trolling. So, and he reacts strong, which is funny to me.
yeah, well, okay,
So,
but
yeah,
yeah, but
but no, I was trolling dirty folks. You're right.
yeah, it was some good trolling. Yeah. But all right, I'm gonna pass it to D Town. I was about to wrap it on up, but we close to the 3 hour mark anyway. But go ahead, D Town. You on the floor? You got the mic.
Look, check it out, OG, man. I just wanted to hop up here. First of all, shout out to everybody on the panel. You heard me. And I just wanted to say, OG, man, I remember when I was going through my little child support thing, man, and you helped me out, man. So appreciate everything, bro. I got full custody of my daughter. Everything looking good now, man. So I just
Oh
want
shoot,
to say,
that's what's up, man. I love to
salute,
hear success
man.
stories like
Appreciate you.
that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, appreciate you. I remember we was 2,000, you know what I'm saying, 8,000 strong trying to do this, man. So yeah, appreciate that, Bernard, man.
Hey,
Keep
man,
doing what
that's
you're doing.
you just warmed my heart, man. Good stuff.
Yeah,
How old is your
man. I just
kid?
wanted to 4. But when I fought for, she fought. She back in Texas. I got geographical restriction, all this. So man, everything good, bro. So you know what I mean? I just wanted to tell you thank you, bro, and everybody that helped me out at the time, because I was going through it, but everything now good. Everything good now. So
Hey, man,
appreciate it, OG.
I'm so glad to hear that. Hey,
Yeah.
I want do this for me. The video where we talk to you, if you remember what it is, if you remember which one it is,
Man, it
send
was
the link to me. Send the link to me so I can go re-listen to that conversation.
okay,
And
but
I
it
may
was a
make like a
long
little
time. I'm
make a
talking about when we first started, but no, I think that was 2019 when I was at the school at this time. You get what I'm saying? So it was a long time ago, man. So
yeah, no,
I
it's
just
a
wanted to tell
long
you
fight.
thank you, bro. Yeah, yeah,
Took me
yeah,
some years.
I just wanted to tell you thank you, man. Just thank you for keeping my head up, and I actually went to go fight and I won. So thank you so much, bro. Real talk.
All
So,
right.
but
Salute
y'all
and
be
shout out
safe.
to you.
All right now.
And shout yeah, no doubt. And shout out to all the people who say that there no value is added to men's lives from these conversations. But all right, yeah, shout out to them too. But all right. But no,
Hey,
no,
Bernard
definitely.
Riley, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, is there an impact that we see when they're fatherless homes, when fathers aren't in the home?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this serious?
Well, he's leading to something. I could tell.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely leading to something because this is my thing, right? Because people will try to say like the things that I was saying, like, yo, it sounds like excuses. It's like, my nigga, if you understand that there's an impact of a fatherless home, then if I would ask you directly, what does that look like, right? You saying it's an impact. Remember when Ed wanted a direct answer to his question, right? So we all agree that there's an impact to a fatherless home on a kid, right? Let's just go with the son. What's the impact? What does it look like?
The shit we see in Chicago.
He's undereducated, undercapitalized, and over emotional.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Bernard Riley. Thank you. The shit we see in Chicago. And that's that's all I was saying earlier, is that there are things that happen that cause that. In this red pill manosphere space, we talk about those. Well, I'm not red pill or manosphere, but I agree with 90% of the stuff coming out of it. And we talk about how those single parent homes, those fatherless homes, those homes with fathers in it, where the mothers are still technically the leaders, you know what I'm saying? They're running everything with all of that dysfunction and stuff. We talk about that. So what I'm saying is, when we see these teens, it's not about absolving them of their choices, of their behaviors, but it's about, we can't expect to correct them without correcting the thing that causes that in the first place, that leads to that in the first place.
Yeah,
right? We don't want to just stop the teens right now. We want to stop the future teens from even coming down this route.
I agree, but when a lot of people talk about that, I think they pin the tail on the wrong donkey, where they go all the way up the line to the system. They may go back to some the mass incarceration. They may go back to Jim Crow. Some people go all the way back to Kemet trying to explain that shit. So that's where I think people get out of line, and they tend to disagree with me. They'll disagree with Hood Conservative when we like, no, we it's the lack of fathers in the home is a key element of that. And then when we go to explaining why, and we talk about what's wrong culturally, then that's where people start, start talking about the price of tea in China, and then we never get there. A lot of people don't want to accept that it's a cultural problem. They want to blame it on racism and white supremacy, and then that's where people lose me. That's where people lose me, and that's so.
Another thing is too that makes people lose that whole argument is that people see the outcomes of their decisions, and so when someone says, "Hey, you see what they did over here, you're doing the exact same thing. Don't you think your results gonna be similar?" And immediately it comes this thing of anger, deflection. They want to. Like Bernard said, they want to run it up to all these other things. There's still the aspect of there's certain things that you could do to. There is a conversation for. There's systematic things we have to do to improve people's situation, but there's also the thing of if you have the option to eat the vegetables or eat the sugar, you got to eat the vegetables. There's still you have to make the right decision, and what happens is we take the onus away from people making the right decision, which they often know is what they need to do, and then on top of that, when they do know they need to make the right decision, we allow people who don't have their best interest at heart say it's okay they made the wrong decision. That's where you lose people.
Well, do you know how people say every year, every election year, the media starts running these news cycles to just show black people being victims and everything to sway them to vote a certain way?
Yeah, I
touched on that at the beginning.
Yeah,
so you believe that's true, right?
Well, there's certain things that are done in election years because what they do is they understand there's certain things that they will do to shape the voting populace.
Wait a minute.
I think they do it year round. I think they do it year round. I mean, especially Young Turks, they're not the mainstream national media, but they get just as many views. So yeah, they're on a year round mission to rile black people up and make them think that the system is out to get them. Therefore, vote progressive liberals or whatever.
Yeah, like I guarantee you,
hold on,
in January.
The reason why I asked the question, right? The reason why I asked the question is for me is always something. So the reason why I asked the question is this: you said they do it, right? That means you believe you do it with that intent, and that also means you believe that it works.
Well, yeah, it's obvious that it works.
Okay, so now what you're saying is that people are programmable. So if somebody wants to talk about racism, white supremacy, or systemic oppression, and you're a person that understands that people are programmable, then it's very disingenuous to deflect from that. You have to understand that all of those things matter, even though you already said you understood that, because you just said there are systemic things that we need to correct, the brother at the bottom. But I'm saying in general, right? The reason why I have a problem with these conservative panels is because they're basically saying, well, we're not ever going to speak about that. And it's like, listen, if you're saying the other side,
never going to speak about it.
I know you didn't say it, so I'm not specifically talking about you. Again, for you in your chat and your echo chamber, I'm not specifically talking
about
you.
Not an echo chamber because you hear.
I haven't even watched that many of the previous last year's episodes and all of that, right? I just found out about you when you had Angry Man and the blue hair dude on, and I've been watching you ever since then. So, but I'm just saying in general, right? If we're looking at this other side, which I agree, it's one-sided. It's always like, let's take BLM. It's always the victim story, right? All we ever gonna talk about ever is when a black man is dead, right? That's their whole campaign is, oh, another black person died, we're on it, right? That's all we ever gonna talk about, right? But then you're on this other side and you're saying, well, we're gonna talk about it from this perspective. And it's like, well, who the hell is gonna be in the middle? When did balance, right? Yin and yang, when did that not become the goal for any conversation? Is to be more balanced in the conversation and to be able to say, okay, this is the problem. On this side, we got, let's just go with systemic oppression. And on this side, we go family dysfunction and too many single parent households. How do we correct all of it, right? And then have a linear conversation where we can address it all, because I do believe that the people in this space are smart. Wait, let me get this off really quickly. I do believe that the people in this space, the content creators, are smart enough to have those kind of conversations. But like everybody's just drawing a line in the sand and saying, I'm either red or blue. I'm either Democratic or I'm Republican. I'm liberal or I'm a conservative. I'm a Crip or I'm a Blood. I'm a gangster or I'm a Vice Lord. It's like, dog, where's the balance?
Because the thing is,
strong culture can defeat any of the programming that's being put out there. The programming works more on black people because black people doesn't have a strong culture with certain values that will override whatever other programming is being put out there. So that's what I say to that. And so far as it's a different thing when you're talking about media programming and propaganda. And listen,
Yeah.
okay, I'm a firm believer in, yes, propaganda works. You can stir the pot, you can change the hearts and minds of people and get them to think differently and view things differently. And I do think propaganda works. And and like a lot of people have the view that everybody's propaganda works except black people's propaganda. So, and I'm using the word propaganda loosely because it's sort of implied that you're lying or doing something deceitful when you're putting out propaganda. But no, putting it out there in the airwaves that nobody is holding you back or stopping you from doing that, and there's no excuses for your bad actions and bad behaviors. You got to live a certain way, make good decisions, and move accordingly. Plot, plan, strategize, execute, and all of that. You have to do that. Us putting that out there in the airwaves to counter the current message that they're getting, that it's it's somebody stopping you, preventing you. It's not your fault. It's preventing you from doing this, preventing you from doing that, and it's not your fault. Yeah, I'm out. I am out to counter that. I'm out to say, look in the mirror, roll up your sleeves, and fix your problems. That's what I'm going to say across the board. But overall, as far as white supremacy, no, I'm not going on that one. It was another point that because you said a lot. It was another point that I wanted to make, but RM, I didn't get this one. I do not know why the Matrix was played on. RM did that one in the back. But hold on, real quick. We almost about to get out of here. I do want to pass it to Hood Conservative. You haven't really got a chance to say a whole lot since we've been here, but go ahead. What's your thoughts? What's your takeaway? Hood Conservative, are you there?
Yeah, my bad. I'm actually working and listening. I just want to say one real quick thing before we wrap up, man. Our self-image doesn't match what other people see, and that's going to have to be dealt with sooner or later. But I'm going to let you guys get out of here.
All right, cool. All right, yeah, I gotta roll. It's at the 3-hour mark. I gotta get out of here, and I actually do got another show going on. But real quick, that super chat that was up there, by whoever the hell. Who sent that super chat? Who sent it? That was, let me make it bigger so I can see that. Modern day problems. He says, let's keep it simple. Keisha caused it. Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that. But yeah, we got to get up out of here. I do appreciate everybody who supported the stream. Obstacles, Opportunities, Game Changer, Edward Anderson in the building. Shout out to Little Podcast. I do appreciate your pushback. Do appreciate your pushback. Christian, Hood Conservative. I think I got everybody. Appreciate everybody on the panel. Appreciate everybody supported the stream in any way, shape, or form. Shout out to JC Ennis who sent the Cash App, and shout out to all the super chatters. Appreciate each and every one of you. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Oh, don't forget tonight, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the night shows are going down. The night shows are going down. We will be back. Damn it, that's just 4 hours from now. Shit. Anyway, we will be back in 4 hours. We'll be back in 4 hours. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we out of here. Peace. We gone.